Welcome to Bravo Team, our second G.I. Joe show looking at all the secondary G.I. Joe material. I am your host, Aaron Moss, codenamed Brotherhead. On this show, I'll either be by myself or have other guest hosts joining me, looking at all the G.I. Joe material out there. We'll be covering things like the toys, the Action Force comic, the European Missions comic, the movies, G.I. Joe Renegades, or anything else that is not G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero comic, or the 80s cartoon. Come, join us on our mission to stop Cobra from taking over the world. Yo, Joe. Yo, Joe. Hello. Testing. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm sorry about that. My mic was working at first. Yes, this is Brotherhead, and we are here with the Order of Battle. This is going to be a Bravo team. Depends on how long it takes us. Again, as I've talked about previously, my original plan was to do like two issues an episode. Last time out proved that to be a lie. It took one issue broken into 2 episodes. So I've got the entire issue lined up for this time, but realistically, I'm probably expecting about through half of it. So, but I am not alone. Joining me, I've got a couple of guests with me. Out in the audience, we have Joseph Jackson. Hey, Joe, glad you could join us. And joining us, we have, I don't have an intro for him because he's only with us once in a while, but we have from the Fandom Network, we have Kyle. Hey, Kyle.
Well, I know I'm only with you guys once in a while. I get sent on too many special missions. I live down in Florida, so they got me on this Dreadnought cunt, and I actually am finally getting sick of grape soda and chocolate covered donuts. But
just a little bit longer. Undercover a little bit longer, and we'll put you in. And again, yeah, like I said, Kyle is from the Fandom Network or Fandom Podcast Network.
Fandom Podcast Network.
20 million shows.
There's a rumor going around that I share a brain with somebody else who's on this podcast.
Do you? I wonder who that could be. Our very own Kevin Reitzel.
Kyle, did you send me the brain back again? Because I need it right now.
No, you've had it for far too long. I'm keeping it for a while.
What's up? By the way, you do enough podcasts, you get a cool intro like that, Kyle. Just want to let you know. So
there you go.
Real quick, I want to mention that even though we probably will be splitting this up in 2, or maybe we won't, we'll see. I went back and listened to that first half of that one. There was some really good discussion. So I'm glad it went long because there was a lot of great memories that were shared. A lot of really cool insight that was personal to a lot of people that were on that panel. And it was really cool re-listening to that again. So I recommend you go back and listen to it. I know you had the second part of part 1 that hasn't come out yet, but it was a really good discussion. So make sure you check it out, and we hope to do it justice this time.
Yes. That's why I said, and I don't mind it going long because, like you said, there's a lot of good discussion in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of good discussion, well, not really, but we're going to bring him in anyways. Our third guests for the day.
That's a prescription for danger.
AKA Death Probe. And I've got it all pulled into one, and there he is reading. You notice he's reading a comic, but not the comic we're talking about.
It's that very rare Hamilton versus the Bear Werewolf.
Burr. Hamilton versus Burr Werewolf Tale. This is the comic that I wrote, Aaron. That's not what we're here to discuss today.
Is that? Did you write a comic? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I rarely mention it, but anyway, my primary specialty on this episode is going to be peanut butter crackers. Secondary specialty Diet Coke.
Very nice.
But we don't have a couple people here that we've had in the past, of course, and one of them is the other Jared. Is that what you call him? What's his name?
2.0.
2.0.
Yeah. What's his real name though? I keep forgetting.
Is that what it is? Yeah, no, Brad Abraham.
Brad Abraham. Yes, he's not here today. I wanted to actually mention something that Brad said in the first half of that Order of Battle Part 1. He made a really good point that when these were coming out, and you guys could probably remember this, that G.I. Joe was very popular, both in the comics, the toys, and the television. He said, I quote, Hasbro could have put a G.I. Joe sticker on a potato and sold it. So I got to thinking, I'm like, well, wait a minute. It was probably a thing, right? Someone probably made that. Hasbro probably made it. So I went on to eBay. A seller by the name of, oh God, what was it? It was something like Yard Sale Gotcha on eBay was selling these potatoes with the G.I. Joe logo on them. So yeah, he only had one, but he charged me like $342 for this G.I.
Very
Joe
nice. Very
potato.
nice. Let me pull you up there. That's very, very rare.
Yeah, it is. It's a G.I. Joe potato, and they were very rare, limited run, apparently, is what he said in the description. Yeah. So, and I tried to ask him like exactly where he got it, but his account got, discontinued. Something like Yard Sale Gotcha Artist. I can't remember. So anyway, yeah.
The reason why those potatoes are so rare is because Roblox keeps hunting them down to make for meals.
There you go. Yeah.
And
I find it very appealing.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have, folks.
Oh God, you're
the
such a spud.
the guy you're referring to, is it this guy?
Now let me take a wild guess here. You're Brett, right?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yes, the
Yeah,
big brain on Brad. He's missed today, so I want to give him a shout out.
He's on vacation. Something about being locked up or something. I don't know. It's a whole mess. I don't understand. And David Finn may be joining us. I know he was going to join us, but again, David's over in Australia, which I know Kevin can attest to. It's a bit of a different time frame over there.
Yeah, right over there. It's about 6 a.m. for him in the morning right now. So,
So he may join us when he wakes up.
6 a.m. Monday, not the day we're recording today, Sunday.
And like I said earlier, Joe Jackson's in the chat, and also Heinz Koch has joined us.
Oh, those are familiar names. What's up, Heinz? What's up, Joe?
Heinz, Joe. I want to know if Joe's got shoes on or not today.
Yes, we've confirmed before he's not the shoeless Joe Jackson.
Oh, okay.
I got that. That was good.
We're
old.
Yes. Sadly, we all got that because we're all old. But speaking of old, we're here to talk about Order of Battle. This is the second issue. And like I said, more than likely, honestly, it'll probably be the first parts of the second issue. But let's see what happens. As usual, this episode is sponsored by Big Danny Cool and Sean Adams over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Headcast Network. And Joe does confirm
He's got shoes.
We got shoes. We got a potato. We got a show, man.
We're ready to go now. We got shoes and a potato. So
the only thing that could ruin this whole thing would be some Australian dude.
So we have the Order of Battle 2. There's the full cover, the front and back. The front cover. Again, let me bring that up full screen just to make it a little bit easier. It's still smallish, but on the front cover, we have Scarlet and Roadblock and Spirit, Freedom, looks like Stalker, Snake Eyes.
Did you say Freedom? There we go.
Was that in stereo?
It was amazing.
So and also look what I got too. Guys, you got to show this. Look at this.
1 second. Let me pull
look at this custom artwork right here. I got from Jared. Look at that.
Looks
like
that.
Crap. Where'd that come
from? Wait.
Very nice. That's nice.
Kevin,
somebody approves.
Kevin, does Peacemaker know you stole Eagly?
Anyway, Brad.
Him too.
Jared. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, sir.
So let's talk about the cover a little bit.
I'll try to interrupt this time.
I'm telling you, it's all right. I'm used to it. The back cover, if I can do it without being interrupted. Again, it's hard for me to make out on here, but we got a lot of the other Joes from the last part of the alphabet. We're not going to get to all of them today, but let's get some thoughts on this. Kyle, since you are our returning guest that's on here very seldom, let's get some thoughts from you, my friend.
Well, okay. First of all, what I find interesting about this particular cover is you've got such a weird mix of classic Joes already on their second look from their action figure, and just Joes that made an appearance later on. It's a very wild mix. But can you go back to the back page, because you have to address something on there. Okay, first of all, you see you got the Slaughters, Renegades back there. You got some Shipwreck, Quick Kick, Wild Bills, some classic Joes. But in the middle of it all, and God bless his white boxing gloves with Rocky Balboa.
Yes, which we'll talk about.
I forgot he was on the back of this damn thing.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about him this episode, no matter how far we get. So yes,
No, but the thing about this is too is what I laugh about is the look of Sergeant Slaughter, because he actually never had that look in any of his figures or the comics. And honestly, if you go back to the front cover,
actually, I think he did show up that way when he first showed up in the comic. He did show up in
not in the comics. I mean in the show,
yes,
in his figures.
yes.
Two of my favorite second looks for figures, because I love the Snake. That is my favorite version of Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
And of course, I love that version of Roadblock.
Yes. Yeah, you're not wrong. Definitely. And Kevin, thoughts on the cover of this?
Are we going to ignore the look on Scarlet, or are we going to just leave that alone?
If
what's the
I had
expression?
gone next, we were not going to miss it. I was going to tell you that.
Okay, I'm going to let you handle that one. But can someone help me out with who's in the very back at the blade tip of? I guess it's the blade tip.
I believe that's Steeler. I think
that's Steeler.
Yeah,
because it's Zap. Zap is next to him,
Yeah.
obviously. But
I
I was trying to figure that out. But it's a good collection of Joes and some ones that are kind of second Joes, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you got quick kick in movement with his nunchucks. Like he's spinning those around. And I got to tell you too, I think Paulie's doing a war cry right there on look at the back page. He's like has his little beak up and he's going
He's saying, Yo Joe. Actually, Yo Joe.
Yeah, if you switch to the back cover real quick. I just want to showcase that one because you got to show Paulie in that one.
Yep. So I was looking at the actual
There you go. See him right up there. He's like doing his thing. So yeah.
I think he's singing the song from Temple of Darkness personally.
And Timber down there representing. I love seeing Timber. So yeah.
Yes. Even though Larry didn't use very many of them in the comics, I do like that they're represented here.
Yeah. Give me some G.I. Joes and Cobras with animals. I love it.
Yep. Oh yeah, we know. Don't blame you. And yeah, I guess I should. Jared. Jared, thoughts on the cover?
It's got Joe's and stuff.
More Joes.
Yeah, and also Joe. I like Timber looks like my dog used to look when he was in mid stealing something, be it a chicken leg or a piece of pizza. And then Scarlet looks like she had her chicken leg or piece of pizza stolen by Timber. Scarlet looks maniacal. I mean, Kevin already hinted at it. She looks like she is losing it about something. So
she looks like my wife when I come into the kitchen and she's in the middle of making something. Like there's a perimeter I'm not supposed to step in. That's what that look I get right there.
Oh yes, I understand. Except I'm on the other side of that. I'm the guy who likes to have the kitchen, and I like wait. I give my wife like an hour and a half to make breakfast, and then like, okay, she's not having breakfast. So I go in there, and that's when she starts. I'm like, God, come on. But yeah, we have maniacal Scarlet here. Just
let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys a question too. Does it look like Scarlet was done by a completely different artist than the artist who did the rest of the cover?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know how this happened, but it did.
The overall collage, I guess you could say, of Joe's and covers in this looks really cool though. Or Joe's anyway, yeah.
I like it just like Stalker looks happy to be here. He's like the polar opposite of Scarlet.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like she's like, you got me wrong side, damn it.
Yes, I assume she dropped one of her stars and stepped on it, and that's why she.
She's like,
Personally, guys, I'm just gonna say it. Scarlet looks like she's gonna go mess with CoverGirl for looking at Duke or Snake Eyes wrong.
Yeah,
possibly. And so again, I have to ask the obvious question, Kevin. Scarlet.
Not in this picture, hell no.
Norma, yes, but yeah, here.
No, yeah.
Yeah, my only complaint besides Scarlet is that we get back to Kevin's talking about the Joe's and their animals. Junkyard is way back here in the back hidden. You can barely make Junkyard out if you look hard Because
It's interesting. She's carrying a suppressed pistol too, with a suppressor on it. I found that interesting.
well, she's trying to be sneaky.
Yeah. But she does have a throwing star in her hand, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and just like I say, having a junkyard myself, I'm a little disappointed that junkyard didn't get a little more love on this cover. But yeah, no.
I just love that Freedom is top center right there. That's
She's
great.
peeking out. I mean, Junkyard's peeking out.
Yeah, but you gotta look, Roy. It took me a second to find him.
He's not in the image. He's cut off in the image on the screen. Well, no, he's there. He's there.
No, I
He's
see
barely
Junkyard
there.
and Mutt. Yeah, but you
Yeah,
can
he's
barely tell that he's
Barely
there.
see him, yeah.
So yeah, Junkyard's there, but yeah, he's on the very edge of the panel, and I don't know. Anyways, let's get some stars on this, or some Yojo Colas. Again, this is 1 to 5 Yojo Colas. 1 being something you want to hang on your. I'm sorry, we got that reversed. 1 being crap that you don't want to look at. 3 being average, and 5 being like that one behind Kevin there. You want to hang on your wall. Kyle, how many Yojo Colas do you give this?
Honestly, I'm going to give it a 3 because it's such a collage and everything's kind of tight on it. Sometimes it's hard to make out a little bit, and there's been just so many better covers in G.I. Joe history.
Very good. And Kevin.
Yeah, I guess you're supposed to open it up and look at it like this, So, I mean, that actually looks kind of cool if you were to have a poster version of that, and maybe you might not get this area over here cut off. I'm sure maybe there's an original version somewhere in someone's office. I'm going to bump it. I'm going to give this because Kyle, you made a good point. There's some good versions of the Joes on here, so I'm going to bump it up to a 4. I was going 3.5, but I'm going to go 4 on it. I would have that as a poster. I think it's pretty cool because of the, it gets a little bump up too because the animals in it.
And Jared, 1 to 5 Yojo Colas.
I'll give it the 3.5 because I
very
could do
nice.
that on this show. I did have a couple of things that I wanted to mention though. In the compendium, which is how I'm reading it, they were very nice with the detail to do the cover so it flows. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no,
They
they
did
did a
that-
nice job with that. That's a nice reprint.
Yeah, they did it so it flows. You get the double picture, and they did that for all of them. So that's nice.
So real quick, Jared, can you see Junkyard better on there, or is he still cut off? And you're muted, which is usually the best.
Get a tiny bit of him more than right there.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
still mostly cut off.
But what I'm pointing out is the dude right below him. Who is that? Is that Flash or somebody?
I think that's Short Fuse.
Short Fuse. Okay, check out Short Fuse. He's playing air guitar.
Yes.
I feel like they had intended to put a weapon in his hand, and it's just like, but it ran out of time.
I love Toll Booth back there though. He's like, I'm in this. Yay.
Toll Booth, my guy.
Yeah, Tobu doesn't get much. We'll talk about him at some point, probably next time. But yeah, I didn't notice it. Yeah, we got Short Fuse. Yeah, it looks like he's not completely finished or something.
No, he's playing air guitar.
Not quite on there.
Aaron, what do you give this cover? or covers?
I do agree with. Whoops, 1 second, I lost it. There we are. I do agree with Jared. I'm going to give it a 3.5. It would be a 4, 4.5 if we had more of Junkyard on there. But as it is, I'm going to give it a 3.5. So,
For the
and
record, you do have a dog named Junkyard, right?
I do. He's in the house right now. I'm surprised he's not here with me. But yes, and that's why I'm a little partial to Junkyard because I've got my own Junkyard. So that's why I'm willing to admit it. And real quick before I go any further, if you're watching the show on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. I'm normally here every 4th Sunday of the month doing G.I. Joe. Usually we're doing the actual the comic and the cartoon, but since I'm ahead on those because I'm behind on my show, I had some extra time, so I figured I'd throw the Order of Battle, get this in there because I know Kevin was mentioning, whatever happened to that, and well, it's still here, running behind. So let's go ahead and get into the actual issue itself. The first page, we have the credits listing all the Joes in here. Plus, we got the credits. So we'll cover that real quick. Larry Hama's the writer. Herb Trimpe, the penciler. Joe DeBito is the inker. Paul Beckton is the colorist. Barbara Johnston is the designer. Howard Mackey and Joe Morelli is the editors. Tom DeFalco is the executive editor. And of course, Jim Shooter is the editor-in-chief. So again, we got Herb Trimpe's pencils on here, which is fantastic.
Fun fact: that page is not included in the compendium.
Oh, really? And I guess it wouldn't be paid numbered like that, so I guess I could see why. But I don't know. I would like to see it myself, but it is what it is. So I figure what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll just start going these in order like we did last time, and we'll just go in the order each of us covered as we're listed here. So I'll start with the first one. The first one up is Mercer. Oops, let me bring it up on my computer so I can read a little better. So this is Sergeant Slaughter's Renegades. His file name is Stratton Felix P. Primary military specialty, small arms armor. Birthplace, Spencer, West Virginia. A grade, E5 equivalent. The Renegades don't answer to anyone but Sergeant Slaughter. They don't even officially exist. They can function with very little restraint, but they are compromised. They are on their own. Mercer was the only Cobra Viper that ever defected to the Joes and survived. He had joined Cobra for the adventure and the promise of material gain, but soon grew disheartened or disaffected with the Cobra philosophy. He escaped Cobra Island, outrunning a hydrofoil and outrunning his pursuers across the Gulf of Mexico. Mercer is proficient with all the Cobra small arms and explosive devices. Mercer found his true home with the Renegades. He gets 3 meals a day, a warm place to sleep, and a chance to shoot at Cobras. So again, I like the Renegades. I like Mercer. I believe that's the one they've got out, or that not out, but he's on pre-order with Sergeant Slaughter. I believe it's Mercer. I've got them pre-ordered. I'm just waiting for them to come. And again, maybe it's just I'm a weirdo like that, but I like them. I like Mercer. I like the fact that he was a Cobra Viper that defected to the Joes. He didn't get much love anywhere. I don't believe he showed up in the comic, the cartoon, unless he showed up in the Deke series. I know
he showed up in G.I. Joe the movie. The Renegades were in that. Yeah, the Renegades were in that. When they sent Falcon to get trained by Slaughter, it was Slaughter and the Renegades. He was in the movie.
Well, no, but they didn't have these guys in there. That was where they introduced the new Joes.
Yeah, but no, when they sent Falcon after everything went south with him and they took the BET,
right?
They sent him to train with Slaughter, and the Renegades were there because they all invaded the Terrordrome at one point.
But if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't Mercer. That was the new Joes. That was Jinx and
nope.
No,
there was a middle point when he goes to train with Sergeant Slaughter, and the Renegades are there.
Okay. I'm going to have to rewatch that. I don't remember them being.
I don't know some Joe stuff. I'm just saying.
Oh, he does. No, it's
yeah.
But I do have a question here, guys. Though in this profile, Mercer was the only Cobra Viper that ever defected to the Joes and survived. What did the Joes do with the other defected Cobra Vipers? The way it's worded is a little bit off.
Good question. See, I assumed I read it when they tried to defect, Cobra killed them. But
yeah,
you've got a good point there, Kyle.
Because it says ever defected to the Joes. So I'm like, okay, so there had to have been other defectors at some point.
Yes. While you're speaking, Kyle, what are your thoughts on Mercer?
I think it's actually an interesting character because of his background of coming from being a Viper, so having some knowledge of Cobra. Obviously, he didn't get a lot of play in the comics. I had the figure. I got the Slaughter's Renegade sets, and I like the figure. I like the idea of the character, and unfortunately, it was just so late in the Joe run when these guys came out. They really didn't have a lot of time to do much with them.
Yeah, I'm a little, I guess, disappointed that Larry did, unless I'm forgetting something. Larry didn't really do anything with the comic, and I think that would have been great, especially like a special missions or something. Been great to introduce him that way, but Larry didn't do a lot with Sergeant Slaughter, though. So again,
I don't know if Larry was necessarily a huge fan of Sergeant Slaughter.
I think Sergeant Slaughter is probably right above Serpentor, or not Serpentor, Gobulus and all them, Cobra Law. Mm-hmm. Who again, as I talked with Jared about, he talked with Larry, and Larry just flat out refused to entertain Cobra Law. So I'm sure the Slaughter's Renegades was right above that. So, Kevin, thoughts on Mercer?
The Renegades and Mercer weren't really on my radar a lot. Maybe it's because of what Larry Hama didn't recognize. I don't know, but I remember hearing about them. I remember the mentions of them, but I never gravitated towards them. If you don't mind, could you share a screen I have here? I want to give a shout out here. As you know, I always like to give love to my finest G.I. Joe group here. And there's if you could see it below, I shared a screen there. If you could bring that up down below.
1 second. What's that saying?
This is a really cool picture.
I guess to do that doesn't make sense.
If you can bring it there, can you bring it up? I don't know if you can or not.
I had to remove my PowerPoint.
There you go. As you notice, I represent the finest, and there's some really cool representation of the Renegades here. And there's Sergeant Slaughter, flanked by my friend Alex and Josh, both from the 234th Tiger Hawks Garrison. And Alex is Mercer, and Josh there is Taurus with Sergeant Slaughter. Really cool picture there, as you can see.
Very nice.
A lot of love for the Renegades and the finest.
Very nice. I love that. Awesome. And Jared, do you have thoughts on Mercer?
Not a ton. I always thought he was a cool figure. Same as you. I thought it was real neat that he was a former Viper. I liked how he had the anti-Cobra symbol on his uniform, although it's not pictured here in this version.
Yes.
Other than that, no, I don't have a ton to add. He was in the movie. That's for sure. I looked it up while y'all were talking.
I don't remember that, but we'll trust Kyle's judgment.
Some dude named Christopher Tabori did the voice work.
Very nice. And unless anyone has any thoughts on Mercer, we'll move on to the next one. And again, out there in the audience that's watching, if you guys have any thoughts on any of these characters, feel free to post them in the chat and I can show them on the air. So Kyle, go ahead and take the next one.
Next one, we got Codename Mutt, Dog Handler Canine, file name Perlmutter Stanley R. SNRA 757934443. Primary military specialty Dog Handler. Second military specialty Infantry. Birthplace Iceland, New Jersey. Grade SP4. Mutt is a natural with animals. He likes them and they like him. The problem is he gets along better with dogs than he does with humans. Graduated Jungle Warfare Training School, attached as cadre to Special Ops School and as advisor to Security and Enforcement Committee, qualified expert M16, M14, M1911A1, auto pistol, MAC 11. If you're sitting next to Mutt in the mess hall, don't try flinching anything from his tray. He'll bite your leg off. Now, one of my favorite things about Mutt, I mean, he got a nice, especially when they did Revenge of Cobra in the cartoon, he got a nice little treatment for a while. But I loved his introduction in the Joe comic because I remember they were talking and there was a couple of Joes talking. And he said, notice which one is, they were talking about Junkyard and he goes, notice which one is wearing the muzzle.
I love the line. Fantastic. Yes, fantastic. And Kevin, thoughts on Mutt?
Huge fan of Mutt and Junkyard in the original figures. Of course, you know how I love the Joes and Cobras with animals, and they always had a lot of moments too within the cartoon and the book as well. And I just always thought the figures were great. I got the Super 7 version of it right here. Very nice. that I got of that. And I remember I have the original versions loose somewhere in a Foot Locker, and I love it when you find a loose version of Junkyard just hanging around. And I think the Super 7's kind of funny too because he's got a little growl to his face.
Oh yes,
on the figure, where he looked very happy in the original release one. He's just like happy to be a dog, you know. But they put a little mean face on him on this one, which reflects the actual art picture as well. So, yes. Always been a fan of Mutt and Junkyard. Very close to my heart.
I have a quick question, guys. Was that year of figures, because that was the first year that they had when Mutt came out? Because you had Mutt with Junkyard, you had Spirit with Freedom, and you had Snake Eyes with Timber. That's got to go down as the best line of figures with animals and the best animal line coming out in history.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, and then you had, what was it? Shipwreck with Polly, and I mean, it was great. Yeah.
Yes, I've got that Super 7 also because I think the wife picked it up for me because that Junkyard.
And I got the classified version of that one as well too.
Yep.
Hanging around somewhere. Yeah. Oh yeah, here it is, right here. Hold on. Let me show you the classified. Here you go. Look how detailed this thing is. Look at that.
Yep.
And you also have the happy version of Junkyard as well.
Yes, yes.
But you only get to keep the mean version of Mutt for some reason. So I don't know, but yeah.
I think that's the only version of Mutt.
And I love that Junkyard has a little flak vest right there, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, the mean version of Mutt's the only one you're going to get.
Great figures in all incarnations.
Yes, very much so. And speaking of mean versions, Jared. Thoughts on
Mutt and Junkyard, they're kind of classic Joes. They weren't, as big for me as they were apparently for you, Aaron, and you, Kevin. Like, I thought they were cool. What's interesting to me is once again the details, and you see it in the image here in Order of Battle, where Mutt has his paratrooper badge on, and he has paratrooper badge in a few iterations of him, and some not. I think he doesn't have it in the classified, because it always conjures up a very amusing image in my mind of him paratrooping with Junkyard. I want to see the dog style parachute. I want to see how that works. But yeah, and I always thought it was weird because I don't think it said on his file card anywhere about being an airborne trooper of any kind, but he always had that badge on, which is fine. He may have qualified in it and went in some different direction, but it's just odd that it's like the only badge he wears. And would it make more sense to have like a canine handler badge or something like that?
I just want to mention too, there's a lot of G.I. Joe fans and also members of the Finest where I've seen big stuffed versions of Junkyard, and but then I've seen fans and also fellow Finest members will actually have the real dog and call him, Junkyard or whatever. And I always think that that's very cool, especially since one of the main charities that the Finest gives to is it's the one that helps set up dogs with former military that has PTSD, and service dogs for them and stuff like that. And it's a really it's Canines for Warriors. That's what it is, Canines for Warriors, and that's one of the main charities that we raise money for. So I always think that's a really cool thing.
Very nice. Oh yeah. And I've made my thoughts before known on Mutt and Junkyard. Great characters. I like Junkyard so much. I've got my own. I've got my Super 7 up here on my windowsill, and I've got my classified up over on this side. So I see you get the original one now. But I love Mutt. Yeah, like I think it was Kyle mentioned earlier. Yeah, when he first showed up, someone commented, they got Mutt and Junkyard in the dining hall, and they're like, well, I think someone mentions about the dog, and like, well, notice which one has the muzzle on. So yeah, it's very much appropriate for me. Yeah. Like I told Kevin, I don't think there is a happy version of Mutt. It's all just the grumpy version. Let's see if there's any thoughts on these characters. We'll move on to the next one. I believe that'd be Kevin.
All right. Next one is Outback. Codename Outback. Survivalist. File name Selkirk Stewart R. Primary military specialty is infantry. Second military specialty is survival training instructor. Birthplace is Big Piney, Wyoming. Pay grade is E5. Outback is an instructor at both the Survival School and the Jungle Warfare Training Center. He has had extensive experience in Central America and may or may not have had participated in clandestine operations in the Mideast. Most people are intimidated by wilderness. The complete absence of the hand of man, not Outback. He believes in being part of the environment, not its adversary. The excerpt from the U.S. Army Ranger Handbook, 1969 edition. Survival stands for S, size up the situation. U, undue haste makes waste. R, remember where you are. V, vanquish fear and panic. I, improve your situation. V, value living. A, act like the natives. L, learn basic skills. And forget to wear camouflage and wear a white t-shirt.
And what are your thoughts on Outback there, Kevin?
Outback's a great figure. It's a great character. I've always had an issue with his white t-shirt that says survival, and let's just like go around and wear what I do best. But I'm just figuring maybe that's his casual everyday outfit. But then when you see him in the cartoon and you see him elsewhere, he's a lot of the times he's wearing the white t-shirt that just stands out. But I love the fact that he's sporting the red beard and hair, and I always liked his weapon and his accessory and stuff like that. He just always looked cool.
Oh yes, yes. And so I've got to ask, and I'll probably ask this to everybody, what do you think of the old man Outback in the classified line? The first Outback they did, he had like gray hair, white hair, whatever. What are
I
your
thought
thoughts
it
on
was
that?
I thought it was cool. It was respect. I like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, see, I wasn't a fan of that one. But anyways, Jared, thoughts on Outback?
I'll regale you with my Outback thoughts in a moment. As I was flipping through this poster by Andy Kubert just fell out of my compendium. Apparently, it's one of the freebies that comes with it.
Oh wow.
Literally just fell out of my compendium. I was like, "What is this? Hey, it's pretty cool." Andy
Wow.
Kubert, G.I.
Hey.
Joe poster. Anyway, back to the show.
Check you if you're listening. Check YouTube for that.
Yeah, right. Outback's I always liked him. Cool character. I liked his style. You know, I most closely associate him with the Special Missions issue where he escaped Barovia.
Mhm.
That's my most and what trips me out about this particular one here in the Order of Battle, the drawing by Herb Trimpe, is like he looks just worn out. First time I was like, well, it's not a great drawing because he looks worn out. But then I thought, well, if he just got back doing what he does, this is what he would look like.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's probably a smell associated with it as well. So yeah, like overall, I think he's cool. He was a neat and unique figure with the white t-shirt, and yeah, gots to love some Outback.
Yeah, no, I love Outback. Like I see, he just showed up recently, in quotes, in the comics where we're at reading. And yeah, I love when he showed up. Yeah, you know, he's testing out their new survival gear. And what do you think? What do you think about it? It's all crap. I threw it out and I've been let off the land and living good. And then, like Jared said, yeah, we just covered also where he escaped the Barovian situation. And yeah, that whole special missions with him. Again, that's one of the special missions that stands out to me. And one of the Outback's main things that stand out to me. And then in the Joe issue after that, when he gets back, and I think it was Leatherneck giving him a hard time, and he's like, leave me alone. I'm busy. I'm resting. I've had a long day. I can't talk about it. Bugger off.
I had another one I wanted to share here, but one of the things that was very popular about Outback was also his Tiger Force version. And there's a lot of our finest members that did the Tiger Force version here. And I wanted to give a shout out to Kate from our New England garrison. She did a Outback version, which I thought was pretty cool.
Very nice. And, you know, looking at this, I'm realizing what happened. His hair and his t-shirt changed positions.
Yeah, basically.
But the white went from his shirt to his hair, so the red came down, kind of turned more of an orange. But yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of the old, as I call him, the old man Outback, but I love that original look that we got right there. Fantastic. I've got it in classified, and it's fantastic.
Jared, can you explain his white t-shirt?
No. I wish I could, but I can't.
So here's the thing. Somewhere down in the pit classified files, there's a file that reveals Snowjob and Outback were separated at birth.
There you go.
Do favor. Do favor.
What I find so interesting, I love the figure for this character. This is one of my favorite figures of that line of Joes. We were getting towards the end of the really good Joe line in the figures
Yes.
at that point. But what I find so interesting about this character has developed such a cult following. This Outback has a very strong cult following within the Joe community. It's like, what, do you all want to go out camping with him? You know, go survive. But I think it's a very intense character. I think he's had some of the more mature and more diverse stories in the Joe comics. Unfortunately, we really didn't get to see him until much later in the worst versions of the Joe cartoon. But I've always liked this character, and I've always thought it's a very fun character. And if I remember correctly, too, on the figure, he even had like a little flashlight that pegged into the side of his leg.
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Unless there was any other thoughts on Outback, we'll move on to the next one. I believe this would be, I guess this goes back to me. I'm joking. Jared.
All right. I got a good one here.
Yes.
I got a G.I. Joe named the Quickest of Kicks. Good old Quick Kick. He's a silent weapons specialist. File name is Ito MacArthur S. His primary military specialty is infantry. His secondary military specialty is intelligence. Always thought it was weird. I thought he should have been a combat instructor as well, but hey, whatever. Birthplace, Los Angeles. Pay grade is E4. Get my readers on here, boys, as I'm going to do some reading.
Uh-oh.
Subject's Japanese father and Korean mother owned a grocery store in Watts. I know, don't make any jokes about this, but no one is surprised. All right, now not accepted by either the Japanese or the Koreans because of his mixed ancestry and too short to play basketball. I like how that got folded in with that information. Quick kick turn to martial arts, all martial arts. He is a ranking black belt in Taekwondo, Goju Ryu, Southern Praying Mantis, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Sword, Zen Sword, and Wing Chun. He was working as a stuntman in Hollywood when he's recruited to the G.I. Joe team. He's a qualified expert in all NATO and Warsaw Pact small arms. And here's your quote blurb. Here's the situation. You want to gain access to a fortified villa. 12-foot tall continuous wall topped with razor spiral and only one gate through it. 2-inch steel plate on the gate and 2 sandbag guardhouses with direct telephone link to the main house. 4 guards with submachine guns, 2 Dobermans, and a silent alarm hooked to a dead man switch that one of the guards is leaning on at all times. How to do it? Have Quick Kick hit it. That's how. So that is Quick Kick, near and dear to me for many reasons, most of which is I distinctly remember getting him 1984, I think it was, on the card, off the peg at the PX here at Fort, well, then it was Fort Rucker. It's been renamed Fort Novacell, but like just a few miles from here. I live not too far from where I was in second grade. And I just remember getting that figure and being so excited. And there's a lot to like about Quick Kicks. You guys can just go get a drink or something. I'm going to talk on this for a minute. Okay. Like, this is, Joe turned the corner into doing more ninja stuff. We're past issue 21, basically, where ninja stuff is taking over, and they've added a new martial artist, right? And Joe has always been pretty good about reflecting the military and having a good a mix of diversity in there. So they bring in a new Asian Joe, and I don't think we'd seen one since maybe Torpedo as a new Asian Joe. And they went with a kung fu guy with an absolute Bruce Lee look, which on one hand is like you fell into the greatest stereotype of all. But somehow they get away with it because they did some very clever things, especially via the cartoon, where they make him this lovable goofball who quotes and does impressions and stuff, which makes him so really elevates him from what could have been an absolute trap of this is a very stereotypical guy. They elevate him with his personality. And that was a wonderful move on their part. And a good deep knowledge of the communities on Larry's part, being half Korean and half Japanese. And yeah, those are the Asian communities, oftentimes not big fans of each other. So, I mean, that he's done some legit research, which added layers to what could have come off, like I said, as a very sort of, you fell into a stereotypical trap character, but through his I think more so than anything, the cartoon, how lovable his personality was there. It really elevated this guy. And I'm glad it did, because he had such a cool, unique look, and it was fun to have another martial arts guy. And I'll stop now.
And I'm just curious, does anyone know what authenticity Larry himself is?
I don't know what his back. I mean, we know he's Asian, but I don't know from
right. So I was curious if he pulled any of that from his own personal history or anything.
There probably is a little bit of that, but yeah.
And just 1 second. Joining us straight from Australia.
He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, I come from a land down under.
Hello.
Glad you could join us, my friend.
My apologies. I may have slipped in just a little bit, but I'm pleased to see. I'm pleased to see one of my favorite characters, Outback, with the survival there, and maybe I knew that Outback was on, and that's what dragged me from bed.
There you go. You heard us talking about him.
What a character!
Dave and Outback kind of look the same in the drawings. It's just just woke up, just But we're happy you're here, Dave. I know it's early for you, man.
Oh, I just had a bad night with the kid, but thank you for having me, guys, and my apologies for being late. But
Oh, no, you're fine. I figured that's what I was saying earlier. You're going to join us, but I know it's a little early for you there in Australia, so no problem at all.
good.
Were you done, Jared? Not that we were listening.
I
But
think I went on long enough. Like this is a character that I like. I just like to talk about quick.
we're actually talking about Quick Kick. So,
Good
James,
character.
you want to
Good
give your
character.
thoughts on Outback and then Quick Kick? Go ahead.
Well, my first question is, I read the whole thing last night. Are these literally what was on the file cards, or is it a bit more information?
And I believe this was on the file, just what's on the file cards.
Wow, because I'm impressed because it shows me that as G.I. Joe went on, what was on the file cards really increased. You know, like there's quite a lot of information on some of these.
Oh, yeah. And so you have thoughts on Outback, David?
Love Outback, one of the greatest Joes. I own the classified figure. I think Tiger Force and regular, and he is one of the greatest. And I think deserves to have a much bigger role in G.I. Joe than he probably gets. I mean, it's hard to find. I mean, when's he turn up? Very occasionally. And I just like to think of him just out there, just constantly, living off his wits, survivalist wits. He's basically like an army ranger, isn't he? Is that right? Yeah, he was. Yeah. He and he's a great character. Outback's awesome. I love him. I would go this far. I would read a solo Outback comic book. That's how much I like Outback.
Yeah, I know you got some love, like we just talked about when he first showed up. Yeah, he showed up in G.I. Joe, and then he had the special missions solo issue, him escaping Barovia. But yeah, since then, I don't think he got much love after that first year or so.
And he's had 2 classified figures.
Yes.
So there's a hunger for Outback out there.
Yeah.
Survivalist, man.
Yep.
The Australian guy loves Outback.
I do. That's also
anybody else see it's funny?
I didn't want to say it.
Oh, you can. No, that's also part of it, to be honest. Yeah, for sure. I also like how he's got survival on his shirt. Frankly.
Yes. What do you think about his white T-shirt, though?
Everybody's got to answer that question, I guess.
I never really thought about it. Like,
he's supposed to be a jungle survivalist, and he's wearing a white T-shirt.
That's a good point.
I think I have an answer to that. He wears the white T-shirt because it's easier to take the white T-shirt and cover it with stuff for wherever his environment is, so it takes on that natural color.
There you go. That makes sense. It's a good blank canvas. I like that.
And real quick, in the chat, David Martell of G.I. Joe RPGG Stories joins us.
What's up, Mr. Martell?
Glad you could join us, Dave.
What up, Dave? Hey, Aaron, I did a little research, by the way, while we were chit-chatting and getting Dave on. Larry Hama is Japanese-American.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He
because we were talking about Quick Kick, and I was just curious if Larry pulled any of Quick Kick's background or anything from his own.
So half of it.
Yeah. And David, while you're here, what are your thoughts on Quick Kick?
I mean, look, he's your sort of standard kind of Bruce Lee stand-in, but yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan. He's okay. I've never really seen him do anything worth remembering. He's a cool-looking character, I will say that visually, but I just feel he's a bit like, I don't know, let's get Bruce Lee in G.I. Joe, and he's your Shang-Chi in G.I. Joe, and I don't like Shang-Chi either, and here he turned up again.
I told you not to have David on the show. I told you not to do it. Bad mouth, Quick Kick, and Shang-Chi. Come on now.
No, I will say this about Quick Kick. He's okay. I just feel like he's a little too... I don't know. They've just brought in the prototype they've used before. And
right before you came in, Dave, about how he kind of falls into a stereotypical trap.
Yeah, definitely.
What I was saying was thanks to the cartoon, especially giving him that really kind of outgoing, goofy personality, really helped it a lot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you know what? I probably should watch more of that. I look, he's okay. I mean, he's not my favorite Joe, put it that way. I mean, does he belong in G.I. Joe? Yeah, sure, of course. But I also think to me, when they bring in this sort of it's not even stereotype, prototype. It's a prototype they wheel out. It's a little unambitious to me personally. That's all.
Yeah, very fine. And real quick, before I go on with my thoughts, Dave Martell says that Outback is just tough enough to wear white in the open.
100%.
Is he weird after Labor Day?
Of course, he wears it all the time. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of that. But as far as Quick Kick, yeah, he didn't get much love in the comic. And if you're a fan of the comic, I mean, that could explain why you may not have such a love for Quick Kick. But yeah, like Jared said, yeah, in the cartoon, they really took him and changed him more than just an Asian stereotype. And then they gave him, that love of Hollywood and always quoting movie quotes. He had a couple episodes centered on him. And again, his first appearance in the cartoon, his first appearance on the cartoon was him showing up in the snow with just his jeans and a sash on.
Hold on.
What?
He made the greatest appearance ever in a cartoon of all time in the Pyramid of Darkness miniseries, which is the best miniseries, in my opinion. Not only that, he is quoting Hollywood, and he kicked Storm Shadow's ass.
Yes.
And he broke dance. Excuse me, break dance. Come on, give some respect to the Quick Kick.
And some kind of chunky bars were involved. I think. Fudgy bars.
Yeah,
fudgy bars.
And he sang the chunky, funky, whatever bars. What was it? The jingle. That's what he did. Come on.
Yes. And again, I do like that the classified figure came with a fudgy bar.
Yeah.
I would show mine, but he's currently at work in my overhead, so I can pull open and look at it, facing off against, Storm Shadow.
That's cool.
We always get some great costumes in the finest too, as well. I got a slide if you want to show, but yeah, I'm just going to jump in. I love Quick Kick, and I think that he is one of the best cartoon characters. And I love the personality that they gave him in the cartoon. I think I liked him more in the cartoon than I did in the comic, which is saying a lot. He's so entertaining. They gave him charisma. And I love it when we get a finest member. I think it's Evan C here on the right, and then Sean C over on the left. I got the names right there. Doing some fight. I got Quick Kick in costume fighting a Snake Eyes here, which I think is great. So yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty good Snake Eyes too. If that's a cosplay, jeez.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Wow, you guys don't mess around.
Jeez. No, we don't.
Yeah, one thing about Quick Kick in the cartoon, it's like they didn't know how to handle Snake Eyes in the cartoon. So they kind of substituted him and Spirit for Snake Eyes, and both of them against Storm Shadow at different periods. So, and also in the chat real quick, going back to Outback, because again, you can't get enough Outback love. David Martell says, as a kid, for me, Outback was Chuck Norris with a G.I. Joe code name.
There you go.
That's fair.
That's a good point.
And since Kevin jumped ahead, Kyle, grab your brain back from Kevin there.
I like the Quick Kick figure. Again, they were kind of expanding the martial arts out, and I thought that was fun. I think the biggest thing to me with Quick Kick, what's ironic, is he was on that mission with Outback in G.I. Joe Special Missions. He's one of the Joes that was left behind.
Yes.
But it brings me to a question. Was Quick Kick the most developed TV series character that got killed in the original Marvel Comics run? Because he was killed in issue 109.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Son of a... I didn't know that. I literally did not know that. It got there.
Some people don't stop before that period. So some people don't know about the Saw Viper and his casualties.
Yeah. And so I'm just wondering, was he the most well-known from the original cartoon to actually to pass away in the comics? Because I think he is.
Well, again, spoilers for upcoming episodes of G.I. Joe. Doc, maybe?
I think Quick got more run in the cartoon than Doc.
Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah.
Doc might have been the most well-known, but I think Quick might have been the biggest as far as having the most time on the TV show.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, you're probably right. Yeah. Thanks, Saw Viper. Anyways, we'll talk about that in a couple of years. But but yeah, no, you're probably right on that. Any other thoughts?
And
on
sorry for spoilers. I was not. I should have hit the spoiler warning button, Kevin.
There you go. I'll probably throw spoilers in when I play this for the podcast. But if anyone listening now, well, you should have read the comic. Damn it! Oh. And any other thoughts on this, Kyle?
No. I again, that was where that wave of Joe figures is where they really started kind of getting away to more specialty things with the Joe figures, and I think it's what really helped keep the line going and moving forward.
Very nice. Yep. Most definitely. And we'll move along. Dave,
We had a visitor.
yes,
My son showed up, just indoctrinating with a bit of G.I. Joe at a young age.
Well done. That's good. That's good parenting. I'll forgive you for the quick hit comics.
That's okay.
Well,
That's
David, if you
okay.
and your little co-host there wants to take the next one, Recondo.
Recondo is a good character. I like Recondo a lot. Yeah, I mean, what is there to say about Recondo? He's the jungle expert, correct?
Yeah, you want to go? Do you have his file card there, or do you have the issue there?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Read-
You want me to read it out? Is that right?
Sorry, I forgot.
Sorry.
You had to read the
sorry.
whole thing there. That's what we do.
The file card.
Okay. Code name Recondo, Jungle Trooper. File name Daniel M. Leclerc. Serial number RA 1582 30074. Primary military specialty infantry. Second military specialty intelligence. Birthplace Wheaton. Is that Wisconsin?
Yep.
Grade E4. Recondo hates the cold. He loves hauling a rucksack through the bush and sweating through his camis. When he's in the jungle, he owns it. Anybody else is trespassing. Cadre member at Jungle Warfare Training Center. Qualified expert M16, Swedish K, grease gun, M1911A1, auto pistol, M79 grenade launcher. A jungle is like some single gigantic hostile organism. It can sense when you fear or hate it, and it is wholly without mercy. When Recondo steps into the jungle, it sings to him like a mother soothing a troubled child. And just a great character, great design on this character as well. And yeah, brilliant character. How much love did he get in the cartoon? Because I know him from the comics. Was he in the cartoon a lot?
Revenge of Cobra, I think, was his probably biggest moment in the cartoon.
Yeah, he'd show up. Yeah, he didn't get as much love as, like, say, Quick Kick did.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Great character. I love the design of this character. I think it's brilliant design. Is he popular? Is he one of these popular G.I. Joe characters?
So I'm not in touch with the fandom, like, so maybe that may be a question Kevin or Kyle.
Kevin, I think you should really field this anything Recondo personally.
Recondo.
Yeah, Recondo is a huge is huge among fans. The original one, and I had the action figure. I loved Recondo. It was because of Rekondo's weapon, where he does the camo wrap around his rifle. I actually started doing that with some of the other guns. I would take masking tape and cut these little tiny strips, and I would put it around things just because Rekondo's gun did that, and it looked cool. And I might colorize it, and it was like my, and I would customize little holsters for some of the characters that didn't have them and everything. And I continued my fandom through the finest. If you're looking at the picture here, I decided I always wanted to do Recondo one, but one year, a bunch of us in the Georgia Garrison, the Southern Command, were like, let's everyone pick a different version of a Tiger Force version. And I'm like, I want Recondo. There was an action figure that came out for the G.I. Joe Collectors Club in 2015. If you're looking at the video here in the picture, there is the actual figure. And I decided to model my costume after Tiger Force Recondo. And it is, I think it's probably my favorite costume that I've done. Not only is it comfortable, but he has this really cool edged weapon, which is nicknamed the Hunga Munga. It is actually has a history of the design. And if you are a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, Buffy wields it in season 1.
Oh wow! I am a fan. That's interesting.
Yeah, and a good friend of mine who has now since passed away, he helped cut that material for me, and it was one of the last things that he made. I want to give a shout out to David Hearn, who's a fellow 501st member in Georgia, who passed away way too young. And that was one of the last things that he made. And I cherish that. But I'm a very, very proud of that outfit too. And I'm a huge fan of that character and the original version of it, and including the Tiger Force version as well, as you can see.
Yo, Joe, that's awesome. And that's an awesome costume you've got going on there.
Thank you. Yeah. The mustache is fake. Just want to say.
Oh, really? Okay. I was actually wondering if you grew the mustache. Right.
No, I can't grow a Recondo mustache. That dude's got it down.
That's cool.
R.I.P. to your friend. That's a sweet looking weapon.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Rest in peace, David Hearn.
Yes. And I like Recondo. He's not one of my favorites, but yeah, I do enjoy Recondo. I'm not a huge a fan of the sub teams, but Jungle Tiger Force especially with Recondo makes sense.
I think the Recondo Tiger Force version made the most sense. It actually looked cool, at least in my opinion. When I see a lot of the other Tiger Force stuff, I'm like, but for some reason, that version of Recondo is really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan of the sub teams for the most part, like I've talked about, but I do like Recondo, and I like his Tiger Force outfit. So fantastic. Yeah. And Kyle, thoughts on Recondo?
I love the design of the figure. The problem I always had with it was I loved how his weapon looked, but the plastic mold they used for it felt like it was bigger than his hand, and it never fit in his hand quite right, and his backpack never fit in quite right. And it's like when they did the Tiger Force version of him, it's like we're fixing all the mistakes we made with Recondo, and we're going to make him much cooler, because realistically, he should be a badass character, and he's kind of got this Indiana Jones English thing almost kind of going on in a weird kind of way. I loved how they portrayed him in the second G.I. Joe mini. I wish he would have gotten a little more play than what he did in the cartoon, and even in the comics. It kind of felt like he never really got a big chance to sign in the comics much. He kind of got replaced when Outback came along.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Kevin, any other thoughts on Recondo?
I love him. He's great. And like I said, love him.
And he's had at least 2 classified, hasn't he? He's had a Tiger Force and a regular.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Guys, I've got the regular one around here somewhere. Unless he's up on the shelf already, but
I feel I've got the regular, but I like the design of the character. Did you say he's not from England? Did someone say he was from UK or not? He's not. He's
if I remember right, they played it up a little bit like that way in one of the comics or something like that. And he's just kind of got that look to it. But
yes,
it's just a fun character.
No, the file card says he's from Wisconsin, so I don't know.
He's an American, but yeah, he does come across as kind of a European type character.
He's almost got a safari look to him. I've always felt.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Oh, very much so. Speaking of safaris, Jared, I don't know the tie-in there, but
I don't either. But it's hard to go last because everybody said it's about him. I'll just look at this drawing by Herb Trimpe in the order of battle, and I can't help but be reminded of the dude from Jumanji who's like trying to chase Robin Williams all around. But aside from that, no, I think we've said it all. He's definitely a cool character. Interesting kind of departure in the drawing as well. While I'm talking about the drawing, he does not have the camo pants that we come to know and love from Recondo in the drawing here in the order of battle. I'm not mad about it. I mean, Trimpe's mixing it up, or he just forgot, or it was the colorist job. I don't know, but whatever. It's all good.
Good point.
And brings back to me. I was talking about the sub teams. This is a sub team I actually do like. Back to Sergeant Slaughter's. Let me bring it up full screen so I can read it. Sergeant Slaughter's Renegades. We have Red Dog. File name Tapapatubu. I'm probably butchering that like hell.
Nailed it.
First name's David. I just call him David. Primary military specialty infantry. Birthplace Pago Pago, Samoa. Pay grade E5 or equivalent. The Renegades have no official status. Their movements and activities are virtually unrestricted. They don't get any credit when they succeed, and everybody denies knowing anything about them when they fail. Red Dog could have been a professional football career. Could have had a professional football career as a barefoot place kicker if a defensive lineman hadn't ground his cleats into the Big Samoan's toe. And I'm sure the Big Samoan knocked the snot out of him. The lineman ended up with a broken helmet, told you, and a concussion. Red Dog was suspended for excessive roughness and worked briefly as a stuntman in splatter movies until he was recruited by Sergeant Slaughter. The other renegades think Red Dog is a handy guy to have along on missions. If they encounter any obstacle of any kind, barricade, tank trap, or flanks of armed guards, they simply point Red Dog in the appropriate direction, let him go, and wait for the dust to settle. So, yeah, again, I think Red Dog is a great character. Again, I love all three of the renegades, which we'll talk about. I'm waiting for that action figure. I think him and the other one's coming as a 2-pack later on. So, again, I'm definitely waiting for them. I do like, he was a football player, so he broke the dude's helmet and gave him a concussion. So I do love that. And he worked as a stuntman in splatter movies. I've got to ask the obvious questions. I wonder if him and Quick Kick ever worked together.
Well, if Quick Kick worked in horror section, splatter usually refers to horror movies.
Yep. So I wonder if they ever. Of course, Quick Kick may have been out before he got into it.
Maybe he knows Kane Hodder. Who knows?
Maybe. Yep, there you go. That's a great guy. Anyways, Kyle, you have any thoughts on Red Dog?
Red Dog always reminded me of the fact, our contract with Fridge Perry ended, so we need to have another football character going on in G.I. Joe. But, the Renegades, like I said, the Renegades were cool. They never really got to develop them that much. And, they played him up as a little bit more crazy when they showed him in the G.I. Joe, the movie. Kevin, I always kind of felt like they kind of maybe pattered him a little bit after Sonny Landon.
I could see that, yeah.
But like I said, I think it's hard to talk a lot about the Renegades because they just never got.
By the way, maybe you should just clarify. Sonny Landon was in Predator. He was,
Sonny Landon was the actor who in Predator who literally they hired a bodyguard to protect everybody else around him from him hurting people. and then he went on to become a U.S. congressman. So there you go.
There you go. Makes sense. Oh.
But again, it's so hard to talk about the Renegades because they just came out so late in the line.
Yeah. Yeah, not enough love. Speaking of getting love, Kevin.
I have no idea who this is. I don't know. I don't remember him. I remember seeing him in this comic, and I'm going, okay, next. I know who the next guy is. So I'm just gonna say I don't know who he is. I know he's part of the Renegades, but I do have a question. Is that a ripped up Tennessee Volunteers jersey he's wearing? I'm just saying.
I don't know what jersey it is, but yeah.
Which Jared knows who that team is very well.
I do.
And, I don't blame you for not knowing, but yeah, because I say he had the 3-pack figure. He appeared briefly in the movie, which I don't remember, and I don't think he got much love besides that. So understandable. And real quick from the chat. Jared's already answered it, but I'm showing it anyways. Important question. What is Jared drawing today?
Yeah.
And my answer to that is nothing because Jared's a slacker. I mean, Jared, you answered that in the chat. Nothing.
I got a marker and some Post-it notes here so I can get cracking.
There you go. Again, I just mentioned earlier, you're getting things prepped for Dragon Con this week. So unfortunately, we don't get any drawing from you, but we can get your thoughts on Red Dog.
We certainly can. I like Red Dog. I always did love. I always want to call them Slaughter's Marauders, but that was a different series. It's Slaughter's Renegades. I feel like there's a 3-pack opportunity that you could have with Red Dog, Bazooka, and the Fridge in a 3-pack. It's like the guys who wear jerseys.
There you go.
Maybe Big Lob could get in on that too. I don't know. I think he's a jersey wearing guy. But of the Renegades. I always liked Mercer best, and I probably like Red Dog second best.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. And David,
I will say this: reading this, file card entry was my first experience of Red Dog. I don't remember him in the movie, but I do remember the scene with Slaughter's. What I keep on calling them.
Marauders.
So it's Renegades. I want to keep calling them Marauders. But I don't remember it. But I will say it's a cool design. And actually, I like the file card. So just based off this, I do like what I'm reading. I just don't feel I've ever encountered him. And I mean, obviously, I've seen him in the movie, but I don't remember it. I remember when they're all introduced. So maybe he must be in there somewhere. Yeah. Besides the movie,
they didn't get much love in the cartoon. Maybe they got in the Deke series, which again I haven't watched yet. But
right, okay.
Love in the comic. I recall. So yeah, I can't blame either one of you guys for not recalling the team.
I will say all the Samoans that I've met and seen here in Sydney, because we have quite a Samoan population, they're rather more bulky than this rather svelte design. Samoans are big boys.
Yeah, they're a larger man.
A lot of them play here the sport rugby league. A lot of the Pacific Islanders they play rugby league, and they're all huge, and they're generally all good. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
he's a rather for a Samoan. He's rather petite. Really.
And for a segue, I guess, speaking of petite, I don't know, Kyle. Take the next one.
Code name Ripcord. Halo jumper. File name Weems Wallace. Social security number RA148231056. Primary military specialty airborne infantry. Secondary military specialty demolitions. Birthplace Columbus, Ohio. Grade E4. Ripcord joined the Civil Air Patrol in high school, discovered skydiving, and joined the G.I. Joe team so he could jump from much higher altitudes. Qualified expert with the M16, M1911A1 auto pistol, Carl Gustav 9mm Parabellum, Browning high power. Let's say you got a trouble spot. You can't sail, walk, or ride in, so you send a plane in so high that it can't be seen or heard. Ripcord jumps and drops like a rock for thousands of feet, then opens his chute at the last possible moment to avoid visual and electronic detection. What he does once he hits the ground, you don't want to hear about. If you would have told me this was a character who was going to shape the very early days of the G.I. Joe comic like he did, you would have shocked me, because as much as I love the action figure of this and it was a cool design, I loved the full face mask and stuff, he's a paratrooper. And that was the thing. But Ripcord was one of the more surprising Joes that got made very important for about 20-25 issues.
Yeah,
mainly his romantic life, but still, it was a very interesting choice with Ripcord, and he has a very intriguing place in G.I. Joe history, especially on the comic side.
Yeah, he doesn't get much love right now in the comic we're reading at, but I mean, he did show up in the recent issues that we're talking about related to Candy, which we'll talk about at the end of probably next episode. But yeah, very much so. Kevin, Ripcord.
Huge fan of Ripcord. I loved his action figure, and my friend BJ from Florida did an awesome Ripcord cosplay here. I'm showing here for the finest, and I love the toy. The toy was great, and of course he had moments in the cartoon series as well as the comics. And whenever I was playing with my G.I. Joe figures, I always would send Airborne and Ripcord in first, maybe with Snake Eyes. To go behind enemy lines and mess some stuff up for the rest of the Joes to come storming in the GI or the Cobra or bad guy fortress. And I just love his classic paratrooper look, modeled after, of course, years and years of paratroopers and styles and stuff. And BJ did a great job with the cosplay, as you can see in the picture here.
Well, your cosplay friends always do a great job.
Wow, I'm really impressed by what you guys are doing. I didn't realize it was this advanced. Wow.
Oh yeah, Kevin's always posting all these wonderful pictures and all these great things you guys do. It's fantastic.
I'm very impressed, Kevin. Yo, Joe.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very passionate about G.I. Joe, and my fellow finest do a fantastic job.
I'm passionate, but I'm also very, very lazy, so I would never do it. You know?
Yeah, I got the body shape of the Blob, but so I can't really cosplay them, and I don't got the time, energy, because much like David, I'm lazy also. So I admire all of your guys' work in that. It's
I do too. It's great.
I'm always complimenting your stuff, Kevin. All your friends do.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, wait a minute, that's not coming out right. Jared, thoughts on Ripcord?
Well, I love Airborne. I love Airborne so much, that, because I always mix these two characters up on the show a lot, which really goes back to what Kyle was saying. Like, yeah, Ripcord's cool and all. Ripcord has never been cooler than he has on his file card or his display art. I'd probably use the same picture on his file card, but that the packaging art of him like free falling with all that energy, God, it's great. Yep. But yeah, I always thought, he's kind of a cool, Halo is cool. Halo's a cool military thing. But other than that, I'm like, it doesn't really excite me all that much. And so much like Kyle, I was shocked at how important he is to the G.I. Joe story for, a good number of issues there. So yeah, way to elevate there, Ripcord. I like him, he's not top tier for me, but yeah, that's about it.
And Dave, thoughts on Ripcord?
Well, I know him from, he definitely had quite a subplot running in the comics. I actually really like Halo Jumpers. In another life, I would like to have been one. And I think they're a really cool, fundamental military G.I. Joe thing. Like Kevin was saying, this is literally your guy. The paratroopers will go in sometimes behind enemy lines or often and, saboteur, do some crazy shit waiting for the other troops to come in. Cool character, cool design. I remember him, he had that subplot in the comics running and he seemed to sort of get phased out. And you're right. I feel like maybe Airborne stole his lunch a little bit, as the years went by, but a great character and what I call a fundamental G.I. Joe character. He's one of the, he belongs. If you had your most important 20, I feel he deserves to be there, in my opinion,
Yeah. And I'm going to basically mimic what Kyle said. Yeah, I've talked about before. I first got started with G.I. Joe, the cartoon, then the toys, and then finally the comic. So yeah, Ripcord at first for me, he's an all right character. I mean, he's not like, Shipwreck or Outback or these other characters that actually have a distinct style and look about him. He looks very military, very, what he does. So yeah, I'm okay. He's an all right character. But then, he had that run in the comics with his whole backstory with Candy and getting dressed up as Zartan and that whole thing, which kind of just elevated him to a different level. So yeah, definitely Larry did a great job bringing Ripcord to the forefront and making him not just another character. He actually gave him a life, if you will. And yeah, he was played in the first G.I. Joe movie by Marlon Wayans, which again, I less said about that, the better, in my opinion. Again, I don't like when they do race changes, and I don't like, well, just who cares? Well, again, if you read the comic, you would definitely care about Ripcord because he had that big, storyline. And yeah, Marlon Wayans, he's kind of a joke, and I don't know, less about that, the better, in my opinion. But anyways, that's Ripcord, or as some people on our show calls him, Airborne.
He was played by Damon Wayans.
Damon's younger brother. But they get confused. So anyway,
Marlon Wayans, right?
No, Marlon Wayans who played Ripcord.
The joke was that Airborne was played by Damon.
Oh yeah,
because I mixed them up.
Okay, where's the remove Jared button now? Oh, anyway, Kevin, let me remove this. Oh, and actually, I guess leave that on for right now. Go ahead and excuse me. Go ahead and go. You're Kevin. You're up.
Oh, Roadblock's next. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Code name Roadblock. Heavy Machine Gunner. File name Marvin Hinton F. Primary military specialty, infantry heavy weapons. Secondary military specialty, cook. Birthplace is Biloxi, Mississippi, grade E4. Roadblock's dream was to be a gourmet chef. He was working as a bouncer to earn money to attend, see if I can say this right, Escoffier school in France, where the army recruiter convinced him that the army could train him. Roadblock joined, but found army menus and preparation techniques too appalling. Transferred to the infantry, qualified expert, the M2 Browning 50 caliber, heavy machine gun, all Warsaw packed heavy MGs, M16s, M1911A1 auto pistol. Quote, a 50 cal, Browning weighs 84 pounds, add 50 pounds for ammo. That's about 134 pounds of steel generated, 2930 FPS in muzzle velocity at a cycle rate of 550 RPM. Anyone who can handle that doesn't need a machine gun to keep me away.
I have to interrupt for a second. Kevin, this is a Fandom Podcast Network joke. Even on the G.I. Joe podcast, we will find a word that's hard for you to enunciate.
I know, right? And of course, the finest always shows love for Roadblock here. And I love this particular picture here. This is Wendell. He's part of our Maryland member here, and he does one of the classic versions here of of Roadblock. And Wendell also is part of the very small group of Predator cosplay, which he did a really good job. And we had him on, as well as our good friend Johnny K, who's in the finest on a Predator podcast we did a few years ago. It was a lot of fun, but a great cosplay version here of Roadblock.
Does look like he's going to have him some fun.
He does.
I can imagine
I'm gonna have some fun, man.
Roadblock versus a Predator would be a good conflict. You know?
It kind of happened, I feel like.
Yeah. All right. And Jared, do you have thoughts on Roadblock?
I do. I consider Roadblock a top tier Joe. I kind of like his original look better than the second look, which is what they use here in Order of Battle, but not by much. I like the second look just fine. I just kind of like the OG one a little better. I love that he's from Biloxi, Mississippi. I've spent a lot of time there. That's where comm officer school is for the Air Force, and I was a comm officer, so I spent a lot of time in Biloxi. And they did a lot with him in the cartoon, clearly, with the whole rhyming thing. And he got a lot of cartoon love. And just a classic Joe, and it one of those where you immediately understand his strength because of that whole 50 cal thing. And if anybody wonders what a 50 cal is like on the battlefield, just watch the climactic battle of the fourth Rambo movie, and it's pretty accurate. Of that machine gun was meant to destroy human flesh. It's awful.
Oh, a whole half hour of that film, he's just on that gun.
He's just taking.
Oh my god!
And it's pretty accurate. So I just think Roadblock is like he's a very essential Joe, and just kind of always has been.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And Dave, thoughts on Roadblock?
Love Roadblock. As you guys know, I came to JoJo a lot later, and Roadblock was one of my favorites from the beginning. They push him pretty hard in all the media that I've seen, and he's just great. Like to the rhyming, to just like even in was it JoJo Renegades, which I really enjoy, even though I don't like the art style of the storyline. He's in that. He seems to always be there. He's one of those Joes that they know is fundamental. Roadblock's always in the basic team. He's a great character. I think Roadblock is one of the sort of like, outside of like your Snake Eyes and the absolute top tier. He's essential. He's a fantastic character, and they pushed him pretty hard. He may have been the first classified figure I got. I think it was. Did they have a Night Force Roadblock? I feel like they did, or maybe it was. Yeah, I can't remember, but it was an alternate costume Roadblock. It was one of the first ones I got, and I think he's a great character. He's a 10 out of 10 character, and that machine gun is awesome, as is that scene in Rambo 4.
Yeah, I just checked. I don't remember he had a Night Force or what all, but yeah, he's had a couple of figures in the line.
Yeah, well, they love doing Roadblock figures. He's had a lot of figures over the years,
And yet somehow, while we're complaining about the movie, which is what we do a lot on this podcast, and we're like Heavy Duty, like we brought in was like his cousin. Why didn't we have Roadblock?
I think there was a naming copyright issue with that.
I think you're right. I think they did have to shift it for a copyright thing for a while.
I think it's probably going to hurt, yeah. Unfortunately. Really? Yeah, I forget what it was, but I heard somebody had a copyright with the name Roadblock. So, yeah, they brought his cousin in.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I like Roadblock. Yeah, like you guys are saying, yeah, he's one of the top tier Joes. He's, in the Mount Rushmore of Joes. He's up there on the monuments. Again, mainly he get some love in the comic, but yeah, in the cartoon really brings him to life. They give him a lot more love. They give him that whole rhyming thing, which is again, whenever I think about Roadblock, that's how I think of him always speaking in rhyme. So being a cook and all that. So yeah, fantastic. I love Roadblock. I don't know which costume, which outfit I like better, the original or this one. They both have their good things about it. So it's just fantastic. Kyle.
Roadblock is one of the quintessential G.I. Joes, in my opinion. I think he's been one. He got a lot of focus in the comic. He got a lot of focus in the cartoon. Obviously, even though they couldn't use him in the movies, we knew they were kind of using Roadblock. The two of the most iconic figures in G.I. Joe. I'm a fan of his original. It's one of those cases though with his figures. The original look is his best look, in my opinion. but the version of his weapon in his second figure is infinitely better than the original version of his weapon with the original figure. And I found myself substituting that version with his weapons, the weapons with the different versions. The other thing about Roadblock, he was on one of my all-time favorite G.I. Joe covers. I believe it's issue 23 where Cobra Command, they've captured Cobra Commander, and he's kind of in the background. It's like Clutch or somebody holding the Uzi up next to Cobra Commander. But I've always loved that cover and how it looked, and how it was done in a way that the colors were very bright and vibrant on it than the coloring of the characters. And I always really liked that. But no, I think what's so interesting when we talk about Roadblock too, and you talk about that line of Joes that came out with Roadblock and all that, you had the original Joes, which was so much more standard military, and then you brought in these Joes in the second line that had more of an individual personality, an individual look, and I think Roadblock exemplified that more than just about any of those characters. Plus, let's be honest, one of the coolest introductions of a Joe member in the comic book.
Yes.
I think too. There's only two good GI Joe movies. GI Joe Retaliation with The Rock is
Yes.
Roadblock. I think he's got a fantastic look in that. I love what he wears, and I love the weapons that Dwayne The Rock Johnson uses. And I just want to give a shout out to that Roadblock. I think it's great. And the other great GI Joe movie is, of course, Megaforce.
I knew that was coming.
Ah.
I forgot. Yeah, he was in the Retaliation, which again was a great movie. I don't like The Rock as Roadblock because, again, and shoot me if you want, but I don't think The Rock is a very versatile actor. He plays The Rock in everything he does. So I didn't like him as Roadblock, but I love that movie. I think that was the best G.I. Joe movie we had after Megaforce. Anyways, but that's for Megaforce. Go over and check out Kevin's Megaforce podcast. I'm sure he's got a couple of them out there.
We do actually have a couple.
We do. It's been
We have an
rematched.
audio version and a video version.
I told you. I knew it. But
Hey, you don't understand. Kevin and I share a brain. Megaforce is right there with me too. The original G.I. Joe movie.
oh yes, yeah. I figured you were too. I know Kevin's always talking about how
These not words.
that's the G.I. Joe movie. So very nice. And again,
I literally heard Brad. I keep saying Brad. Jared's eyes roll. He's just like, oh God, here we go again.
Here we go.
Here we go again.
David Martell from the chat says copyright issues are probably caused by extensive enterprises securing their rights when they lapse. I'd also guess they're the reason why the movies are so bad. Again, I'd have to exempt Retaliation from that. The movies are so bad, and again, as far as I'm concerned, there's only been 2 actual G.I. Joe movies, not counting the unnamed G.I. Joe movie that Kevin loves, but
I think I can guess.
I can only acknowledge 2 of them. And the first one was bad, and the second was good, and they decided to stop there for some reason.
Retaliation was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, I thought that was the closest. I mean, I didn't like the fact, which again, this isn't a Retaliation part, but I didn't like the fact that they had who was it? Firefly always taking his mask off.
Yeah,
but I love Ray Stevenson as Firefly.
Yeah, I love him as Firefly. That's for sure.
Didn't like him to take it because he doesn't take his mask off that much. But other than that, yeah.
Well, it was also missing Baroness. She was in the first movie, but not the second. Yeah. And that pissed me off. That pissed me off a lot.
He's still mad about it.
Hot.
Yeah. Yes.
And
anyways, I got sidetracked for a second there. Let's go ahead. Kevin, you did Roadblock, so we'll move on to Jared.
Hey, and if you need a movie like Megaforce, it's sort of a B-80s movie that's highly reminiscent of G.I. Joe, Order of the Black Eagle. You've never seen that batshit crazy movie. Or write it down, Kevin. Order of the Black Eagle, if you've never seen it.
Order of the Black Eagle. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to want to see that. It's one part G.I. Joe, one part James Bond. They're trying to stop a bunch of resurrected Nazis in South America that are literally trying to resurrect Hitler. It's a whole thing.
Okay, you said all words I like in action films.
Yeah,
so
there is a baboon on the team that drives a baboon-sized tank and uses it in battle. Need I say more? There's like animals, like GI. Anyway, let's continue the show.
Right.
Order of the Black Eagle, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
going to Amazon right now.
It's not a bookmark, but there's Wikipedia on it.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. All right. You know what? This is the perfect character to follow Roadblock with. In fact, it might have been better if this one went before, but they go nicely together. Let's talk about Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll is a machine gunner. His name is Craig S. McConnell. I'm not going to reveal Social Security number. I'm not getting him hacked on this show. His primary military specialty is infantry. His secondary military specialty is PT instructor. Guy keeps in shape. His birthplace is Malibu, California.
Malibu.
Hey, I know I pronounced it right. I'm Malibu, California. His rank is E5. All right. Subject was a surfer in Malibu prior to enlistment, was a weightlifter, and played bass guitar in a local rock band. He's familiar with all NATO and Warsaw Pact, light and heavy machine guns, graduated AIT at Fort Benning, top of his class, specialized education in covert ops, school at Langley. Here's an excerpt from his psychological profile from Colonel D. O'Neill. I think that's a nod to Denny O'Neill, by the way. United States Army MC Medical Corps, probably. Anyway, a man of contradictions, cunning but naive, obstinate but pliable, forceful but shy, proud but self-deprecating, and so on. Possesses a strong sense of loyalty to his teammates and is sincerely concerned about their well-being. This may have been a profound detrimental effect on his performance in a team involved in high-risk operations. All right, and then he's got a peer personality review from Staff Sergeant John Doe. Larry was not into creating new names at this point, I guess. Note the following is not a transcript of a taped interview, as are other similar profiles, but submitted as typed on Army stationery. He is a fine soldier, a man of honor, integrity, who can be counted on to hold the line. If he had any shortcomings, I would not tell you, nor would I expect him to tell you of mine. Common courtesy precludes my telling you of what you can do with these profiles.
Oh, I've got to wonder, is that Duke? Was Duke starting in A5?
I don't know. But all right, let's talk about Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll is an original OG Joe from the original run, and I love him. And I feel a little bad for him. And heck yes, David's familiar with Order of the Black Eagle. I see that in the chat. But yeah, I feel a bit bad for Rock and Roll because he was the team's M60 heavy machine gunner until the next wave where you get Roadblock, and Roadblock really becomes the team's heavy machine gunner. Now, luckily, they never really truly push Rock and Roll aside, in my opinion. They've gotten some good mileage out of him over the years, and I think he pairs nicely with Roadblock. I think the two of them being machine gunners together is a wonderful thing. I just feel a little bad for him in the same way I felt bad for Stalker being the team leader, and then along comes Duke, and I still much prefer Stalker, but I'll get on that soapbox again every episode, but I'll get off of it for this one. But overall, yes, Rock and Roll, near and dear to my heart. I still remember being a kid, and my dad who was a soldier, took me into work and showed me an actual M60. He's like, so this is what Rock and Roll would carry. And when I tried to lift it, I was like, oh, I get it. I get why he's so strong now. Right. And then here comes Roadblock with his 50 cal. But at the time, for that brief moment, Rock and Roll was the heavy machine gunner.
And I'm sure you'll get back on that soapbox when we do the next episode.
More than likely, or before the end of this one is over.
So anyways, where we at? David, thoughts on Rock and Roll?
Well, first off, world's greatest dad showing you an M60 and letting you hold it. Like, that's just awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Wow. I wish my childhood had those kind of stories. I like this character. I feel bad in saying this because he's a cool character. I find the look with the beard and especially the blonde, it for a long time I didn't get the classified figure because just purely visual, I wasn't that fond of it, but I broke down and got it. So he's wormed his way into my heart. I love the character. Am I right in saying, spoilers, I feel in the recent JoJo comic, unfortunately, in the first or second issue, I believe Rock and Roll buys it. I believe.
Spoilers. Yeah. I know. Again, I'm way behind in my reading. I haven't read the new series.
Guys, it's like issue 1. So calm down.
I heard about that.
But my point, he was sacrificed.
I know he showed up in the Duke miniseries. hang out there helping Duke out. So, but
don't get too attached. Don't get too attached. I was going to say something a lot worse, but I was going to say like with women, don't get too attached. They come, they go. And Rock and Roll, great character. I must admit, the blonde beard and that really blonde sort of was a strike against him in my books. I always thought it was a bit cheesy, but he's a cool character. So, God bless Rock and Roll.
Yeah, to show what you got there in the end, Kevin.
This is the classified version of the Ram, and who should have come with the Ram is Rock and Roll. I want to give a shout out to Kyle, he's in this program right now. He got me the Rock and Roll because I couldn't find it in my local Target or anywhere.
Oh, very nice.
So I replaced the Breaker figure and put it on my Ram. And I love the fact that he has the little devil horns there. He's a rock and roll guy, sporting some rock and roll tattoos as well. And I was a huge fan of the original. Even I had the straight arm version before the battle grips came out of Rock and Roll, and I loved Rock and Roll. I loved the weapon that he carried, and I remember taking. Here's how nerdy I get. I remember taking the M60 that he had because I found some type of toy that had a belt fed, like, I guess you could say belt ammo thing. And I cut it down, and I actually I took a paper clip and I heated it up to burn through his gun so I could make the belt fed ammo go through his gun. That's how deep I went with some of the toys.
You love them hot paper clips, man.
Oh, I did. I got very clever with that. And I needed to have his ammo belt go through his gun. And I might still have that somewhere buried with a bunch of my stuff. But I loved Rock and Roll. I loved the way he looked. He was one of the original Joes. And what was it? That one smaller story? Was it the Hot Potato? If I remember.
Hot Potato, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I loved him in that little short comic thing. It was at the end of the first issue, if I remember correctly, right?
And like you, that's why I always associate him with the Ram, not Breaker, but him.
Yeah, exactly. Him and the toy. So anyway, I love Rock and Roll. One of my favorite OGs.
And yeah, I agree with you. I'll try it again. I agree with you, Kevin. Yeah, he is one of the OGs. Yeah, he should have came on the Ram. I haven't picked up that figure yet. I need to get him. I didn't have the money when it came out, and I've seen it at GameStop. I didn't have the money at the time to get that, so that's why I need to pick up. I like Rock and Roll. It's a great figure. Yeah, I do like the double horns with that figure. Fantastic. Yeah, and unfortunately, he got replaced by Roadblock. Fortunately, yeah, Larry didn't completely write him out. He kept him around, had some good stories with him anyway. So fantastic. Kyle.
One of the great things about Rock and Roll was because how he stood out because of having the belt, the ammo belt around his chest, which made him stand out from the rest of the original Joes. And I always thought he was one of the more OG Joes that did get storylines throughout. But we can't mention Rock and Roll without the crime that was committed against Rock and Roll towards the very end of the G.I. Joe line when they took several of the originals and gave them new outfits and new weapons. And they gave Rock and Roll like these huge ass one in each hand, double machine guns that shot from the underneath. He pulled the trigger, but the barrels were underneath. And you had these weird plastic ammo belts that kind of fit from the backpack to the guns, but they never fit really good. And what's crazy is even when they relaunched G.I. Joe most recently in the Energon design, he still had that look as far as the uniform he had, because he had the cap on and this really weird outfit. But yeah, Rock and Roll, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest Joes as far as the OG goes, and one of the Joes that I think got a lot of play. And it's still one of the things that I still kind of curse the animated series over is they really never gave most of the OG Joes a fair shot in the series.
You're not wrong. And we got Kevin's thoughts already. Is that a Rock and Roll, Kevin?
Yeah, I wanted to show you the version that or my friend Magnus did with those guns that he's talking about. I think he had these cleverly either 3D printed or he got some other stuff together there, but you can see that's the version of the Rock and Roll that he did. And I thought Magnus killed it. I thought he did a good job here.
Fantastic. Beautiful. And Jared. Oh, we started Jared.
We started.
So- We started Jared. We're back to the beginning. So, anyways, so we move on to Dave. Dave, you're up next.
Yeah, okay. This is a funny one. Codename Rocky Balboa, primary military specialty, personal combat instructor, secondary military specialty, special services, birthplace Philadelphia, grade E5, enlisted reserves. How does a well-known boxing champion, I mean, he's a little better than just well-known, but anyway, serve out his reserve time? He can take the easy route, be a showpiece for special services, giving exhibition bouts and racking up brownie points for officers with no combat ribbons and shiny trouser bottoms. Or he can take a secret posting to train the G.I. Joe team in the finer arts of the sweet science of pugilism. The assignment to the Joe team would be strictly under the counter, no special pay, no extra privileges, and no publicity. All he would get would be the satisfaction of doing something for his country. Excerpt of memo from Brigadier General Abernathy, codename Hawk. He's one of the best there is with his fists, and no one can touch him with pugil sticks, but that's not the reason I want him training the Joes. Anyone can teach technique. I want the Joes to see what it is to take a beating and come back up fighting, to stand up and take everything the other guys got to give and give back a full measure. That's worth more than a tip on how to perfect your right hook. And, I mean, what more needs to be said? Rocky Balboa, one of the greatest characters of all time. What was it like? It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you get hit and get back up and keep on moving.
Someone's been listening to a certain podcast.
Hey-o.
I love Rocky, and just a great character. And you know what? Kind of, he is a patriot. I mean, he won the Cold War in Rocky IV.
Yeah.
You know, beat Ivan Drago. So I know that this wasn't this like pulled from the.
This was never even supposed to be in there in the first place.
Yeah, they were going to do a Rocky figure, and apparently there was some sort of, I guess there was was it a Rambo line already going on?
Yeah, something like that.
There was, with the licensing, they had some issues like, oh, we can't do that. So I think in the next issue, or the third or fourth issue of the series, they do a retraction and say, oh, sorry, he shouldn't have been in there.
I'll give you a good Rocky thing. I don't know if you guys are probably all aware of this, but you know how Stallone directed Staying Alive, the Saturday Night Fever sequel? There's that, you see it on YouTube. There's a moment where Travolta bumps into Rocky on the street and they turn around and have a glance at each other. It's awesome, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And I just thought that was great. And I mean, I know he never got made into a figure. If he did, I would own it. And just awesome that he got so close.
Yeah, no, I wish they would have came out with the figure, but I understand, the whole licensing thing can screw things up and trademarks and all that. But yeah, I do like that. Like I say, he didn't show up anywhere, didn't get a figure, didn't show up in the cartoon, comic, or anything, but at least he did show up in the Order of Battle and show us a little bit of what could have been. So,
and in our dreams, you know,
very much. So, Rocky's a great set of movies. I love most of them for the most part. Rocky Balboa would have been great as the instructor for the G.I. Joe team. I mean, and then again, they were continuing on. I mean, they already had Sergeant Slaughter. They had the Fridge as an action figure, but they never did anything with him either, unfortunately. But at least they didn't cancel him completely, unlike Rocky. But anyways, Kyle, thoughts on Rocky?
I remember the first time I saw this and I was like, what? It was really like, I didn't recall anything with the figure. I'm like, are you kidding me? And especially because of the whole Rambo thing going off at the time, it just kind of blew my mind. And it would have been very interesting if they would have even slipped out a few prototype or mail-in versions of this figure before they pulled it, because they probably were worth millions at this point. But, I mean, when you think about it, this is one of those times when, G.I. Joe kind of stretched its limits of like, okay, the idea of Rocky Balboa showing up in a G.I. Joe comic and teaching the Joes how to box, but also take a beat down. But it's one of those times where, you guys pushed the envelope just a tad bit too far here. And, with all the things that happen with it, I think it's one of the more bizarre and unique moments in G.I. Joe history.
Kevin, thoughts on Rocky?
You're muted, Kevin.
I was WTF in this, wondering what was going on, what happened with this, and I didn't know till years later of what was going on. Sadly, no one in the finest G.I. Joe costume group that I know of has done a costume for this, and we've had a lot of deep cuts, a lot of obscure characters done by G.I. Joe finest characters, Incognito Commander, and so. I challenge my fellow finest. Someone please do this. We had someone do Big Boa, why can't we have a Rocky Balboa? And people could go, ah! And there's a lot of custom action figures that have been done of this character that you can look online and search for and stuff. But yeah, it's one of those great moments in G.I. Joe history. If you know, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And Jared, thoughts on Rocky?
No, the hardest part about being a Joe Finest member to do this costume is getting in that shape, really, to be honest.
Yes, and the gentleman who did Big Boa, by the way, was in shape. Yes.
Yeah, and as I understand it, Big Boa sort of begat from this failed Rocky. Like I think they were working on a figure, and then they tweaked it to make Big Boa to Balboa, which is clever in and of itself. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love this. I'm a huge Rocky fan. I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan in general. So I think this is great. You may be asking yourselves, did this page make it into the compendium version of the G.I. Joe? It did not.
Oh,
we did not get the Rocky page in the new compendium version.
So you have to have the original comic, huh?
You do. But you have to have the original comic folded lengthwise in your back pocket, Kevin. You got to fold it.
Brad's on here. Yeah, see, I heard that Big Bo was actually going to be Rocky's counterpart.
And I'm prepared to believe it. You know what? When I'm at Joe Lanta at the end of next month, I'll have the ear of Ron Rudat and Larry Hama. I need to see if they know anything about the details of this.
There you go. Very nice.
I need a Clubber Lang Cobra figure.
Can you please hit up my fellow finest members that will be there and saying, where is the Rocky Balboa cosplay? Kevin is asking for it now.
White gloves, gray sweatpants. Get your act together.
So you got a couple of missions there, Jared.
I got lots to do.
Yeah, make sure you reprimand the members of the finest and let them know that Kevin in California is disappointed with them. They need to do it pronto. And you need to talk to both, Ron Rudat and Larry Hama about this and record the conversation for me if you don't mind. If you can, if they don't mind, I can play it in the air. I would love to
see what I can do. I'll air it on my show, G.I. Joe Chronicles, and then I'll forget it to give it to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Let me know when you do it. And I can listen. That's fine.
I like that we're giving you some jobs there. Like you've actually got some work to do. Like,
gotta write all this down on my post-it note with my marker.
you can almost cause a civil war with like instructions from Kevin. They're like, we don't report to California, like the kind of thing. Like,
yep. I'm going to call you guys to the carpet from Kevin, aka Raider Nerd. Moving on to the next one. We're coming near the end, I believe, at least for today. Next one is, I'm going to pull up big screen so I can see it. Scarlet, Counterintelligence. File name, O'Hara, Shauna M. SNRA 242967434, because I don't mind giving out secret information on the podcast networks and the YouTube. The primary military specialty, Intelligence, which I have none of. Secondary military specialty, Classified. I would say her secondary military specialty is being hot. Birthplace, Atlanta, Georgia. Grade E5. Scarlett's father and 3 brothers were martial arts instructors. She began her training at age 9 and was awarded her first black belt at age 15. Graduated advanced infantry training and ranger school, special ed, covert ops school, Marine sniper school, special air service school, Marine Taekwondo symposium, qualified expert in M14, M16, M1911A1, M79, M3A1, M700, which is the Remington sniper rifle, MAC-10, XK1 power crossbow, throwing stars, Garot, and Kabar. Scarlet is confident and resilient. It's remarkable that a person so deadly can still retain a sense of humor. And Scarlet is one of the classic original Joes. She is, had a big run in the comic. big in the comic or cartoon, at least for the first season or so. Yeah, I love Scarlet. She's a beautiful character. I started off with the cartoon, so to me, she was with Duke, and then I finally got into the comic, and I saw, she's with Snake Eyes. Oh, that's who she belongs with. So usually I refer to the first place I see him, which would would be Duke in the cartoon. But yeah, when I see her with Snake Eyes in the comic, I don't know. To me, it fits a little better. But yeah, great character. Kyle, thoughts on Scarlet?
Top 10 all-time G.I. Joe character, no matter what you're talking, comic, cartoon. I mean, Rachel Nichols, I thought was great as her in that first Joe movie that we don't talk about that much, but I thought she did that was some great casting. I find it so interesting with the Scarlet character too. One of the first characters to get drastically changed in her look in both the cartoon and the comic from the figure. And, they went with the original figure. She had the short hair, a little bit different design to her outfit. They went to the long hair pretty quickly on this and ran from there. Maybe one of the top 3 most influential characters in the history of G.I. Joe as far as the comic is concerned. And I mean, I think issue 21 is the issue that really put her over the top with the Silent Issue. I think people literally just became so infatuated with that character and her relationship with Snake Eyes in that issue that it changed everything for Scarlet. And what was always great about Scarlet too is she was always an incredibly strong character, no matter how they portrayed it. And I think that was so amazing for a lot of reasons. And again, I think you don't have a G.I. Joe how it is without Scarlet right now.
Very true. Kevin, first I've got to ask, Scarlet?
Hot? She's hot. Yeah, hot. Yeah, definitely. And every version. But I did want to showcase my friend Joe here, and her cosplay name is actually Joe Colton, and she is one of the OG finest members. And she did this version of Scarlet, and I've trooped a lot with Joe. She's great. She does a lot of really good costumes. She does a really good female Serpentor. That was amazing as well. But I just want to give a shout out to Joe because Kyle and I, when we first started our Fandom Podcast Network, Kyle's laughing here because he's know where I'm going with this. Back in early 2016, we were like, well, we got to talk about G.I. Joe. So let's talk with Joe and some of her friends about the costuming side of things. Let's talk to these people about this and this. And Kyle, do you want to tell them how long that podcast was and what we learned from it?
4 hours later. That's when you're first getting into podcasting and you think, oh, everybody's going to listen no matter how much time I put in. Yeah, no.
I had a friend of mine say, dude, that was a great podcast, but dude, 4 hours, you could have broken that up a little bit. Anyway, I regress. Scarlet is also a great costume for a lot of our female members to get into the finest as well, because you can tell that Scarlet is one of the most revered characters in the G.I. Joe fandom. She kicks ass. She's funny. And I love her story arc with Snake Eyes throughout the entire G.I. Joe franchise. I love the bond they have. I love that they get each other. And I love the different versions of Scarlet that we have gotten over the years. And I think that she is one of the strongest characters and one of the OG ones from the original comic as well, and the toys. Kyle?
And real important, too. Scarlet is so talented medically, she can deduce death from a coma from death.
Duke's alive!
And Jared.
Scarlet is a top tier all-time G.I. Joe character. Maybe on the Mount Rushmore, which, like I'm saying, literally 4 Joes you put on Mount Rushmore. She might make top 4.
She does.
She might. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how she doesn't, and I can't. But I've stood on this soapbox before, and I'm going to stand on it again too. G.I. Joe in the 80s did an incredible job of having a boy brand toy line and making you want to buy the girl figures.
Yeah.
Like, to crack that code in 1983 is incredible. And I think the smartest thing they ever did in wave 1 with the original Joes was give her that unique costume. I think if you put her in a plain green like everybody else, it doesn't happen. You need
Yeah.
the standout design to make it work. And then from her to CoverGirl to Lady J to Jinx, all awesome characters that boys wanted in their class. I never knew a single, even the most macho of the macho boys growing up in the 80s. I never knew a single one that was like, I don't want no girl character. We wanted those characters, and we all wanted Baroness, but there's a whole other story, and Dave has to go next.
And yeah, they always said that boys didn't want girl figures. I wonder if that was true, or if that was just some stupid marketing decision that doesn't realize that no, if you got a good character, boy, male or female, we're gonna want it.
Yeah, make it a great design. Give it a character personality. I would say of the females I mentioned, the one with the worst design is probably CoverGirl, but they put her with a badass vehicle. So you're like, well, yeah, so she's cool, and anyway, yeah, Scarlet is the OG prototype. Okay, Princess Leia is the OG prototype figure that the boys wanted, but as far as G.I. Joe went,
yes,
this is it.
Yeah, CoverGirl had that plane more look like you were talking about, but yeah, they gave her a cool ass vehicle. So yeah, definitely.
It was all I was about to say it was all wonderfully planned out or amazing happy accidents. I don't know, one of the two.
Probably happy accident. But anyways, speaking of happy accidents, David, thoughts?
Well, Scarlet, to me, we actually had this discussion on the latest Signal of Doom. We're just briefly chatting about favorite Joes. She is my second favorite Joe, only to Snake Eyes, and I love Scarlet. And large part of why I like Scarlet is the look. I think that costume there in this file card is excellent. I have at least 2 classifieds of her. I think her personality comes through in the comics and the show. I think they spent a lot of time on her. As you say, she was there from the beginning. I think it was brilliant marketing. And yeah, it was probably influenced by the popularity of like Princess Leia, who they put inside a boys' line and did so well. But whatever the reason, Scarlet just works. And she's integral to the dynamics of the team, and she's a badass. I can't tell you how many comics I've read of Scarlet and enjoyed her. And I love her little crossbow as well. Just a great character. And if Mount Rushmore, how many people are on Mount Rushmore, Aaron? Is it 4?
4.
Yeah.
So she definitely belongs on that, on the Joe side for sure. Without a shadow of doubt. And it's not one of those situations where they're going to reshape Mount Rushmore. She will stay there forever, I think. As long as there's G.I. Joe, Scarlet is going to always be there as a prominent member. You know what I mean? As one of the best G.I. Joe characters of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Kyle, you're up next.
So, codename Sci-Fi, Laser Trooper, file name Fine, Seymour P., primary specialty, infantry, secondary military specialty, electronics, birthplace, Geraldine, Montana, grade E4. Sci-Fi lives in a slow motion world. He takes everything real easy, and he's never in a hurry to get anywhere or do anything, but that's what it takes to be a laser rifleman. At the age of 2.5 miles, the impact spot of a laser light will jump 100 feet for every 1,000th of an inch movement at the source. The spot has got to be held on target long enough to burn through that source. Otherwise, it's no more harmful than a warm breeze. To quote, when Sci-Fi braces his weapon and sights on a target, he becomes a rock. No discernible movement of any kind. Birds perch on top of his helmet. He transcends mere stillness to another plane of immobility. You don't even see the trigger finger move. It's like he wills that beam of light to stab the darkness. So, I've always been a fan of the Sci-Fi character. The look is a little outrageous for G.I. Joe. I mean, but if you're going to make this look, it's perfect for a laser rifle trooper. But much like Flash in his own way, at least in the comics, Sci-Fi really never got any respect or love. And he got a little bit of it in the cartoon show, but the problem was they all use lasers in the cartoon show.
True.
But I remember they did do an episode where the Joes had to go undercover at a Comic-Con, and they made them recruit Sci-Fi for it. And it was one of my more favorite episodes of the later run of G.I. Joe.
Very nice.
I'm looking forward to that, covering that one. I'm going to write some good notes on that one.
Thoughts on Sci-Fi?
So sci-fi, I vaguely remember him. I thought he looked cool. Obviously he was like the Flash replacement, and I really didn't have any connection to him until Joe Fest 2018, I think it was, when I was still living in Georgia. If you haven't been to it in Augusta, Georgia every year, it's a great G.I. Joe convention. It's kind of taken over as the main Joe convention since Hasbro has stopped running theirs. And they have a lot of great toys and collectibles there. And they even have some non-G.I. Joe stuff. And I was just kind of shopping around. And Jared, there's something you said in the First Order of Battle podcast where we were referring to someone about how it's kind of a casualty of being a driver of a vehicle that's a lot more cooler than the actual driver itself. I don't remember who you were referring to. Do you remember?
If I had to guess, probably Crankcase.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's Crankcase. So I picked up a Star Wars toy and I'm thinking like, I really need to put a figure in this. And I was with my friend Chris Sheets, who is part of the G.I. Joe Finest, and he does a good Law and Order. And he's also part of the Ghostbusters costume group as well. He's like, well, how about this guy? Well, he picked out Sci-Fi, and now he is the writer of the Star Wars Dewback.
And he looks more appropriate there than he would in
Exactly.
That's cool.
Right?
That looks really good. Yeah.
You know what? He fits. He's the same color, and Dewback is a kind of vehicle, if you think about it. So Sci-Fi has a home as the Star Wars Dewback writer. There you go, Sci-Fi. And what was really cool was that Chris bought the Dewback for me, and the guy just threw in Sci-Fi as no extra charge.
Oh, sweet. Very nice.
So he lives right over here. Love me some Sci-Fi and Dewback. So there you go.
Very nice. Jared, thoughts on the Sci-Fi?
I tell you what, this is just for our boy Dave in the chat. I got my blank Post-it and my black marker. I'm going to talk for Sci-Fi about 30 seconds, maybe less, and we'll see what I can draw. Okay, Sci-Fi, he replaced Flash, and I don't like it. His costume was a little too out there for me. I prefer Flash. I might be out of things to say. Aside from the fact that, like Psych Out, you can spot his figure from across the room.
That was one action figure you were never going to lose.
You got that right. And the greatest thing they ever did was name him Sci-Fi, because then you can kind of get away with being a little funky. All right, there's 30 seconds, and that's my Snake Eyes with a broad dipped Sharpie.
Damn, very nice.
Posted. That's for you, Dave.
People here are not talented.
I don't know. That's the best Snake Eyes drawing you've ever seen, but
you know what? For 30 seconds with a Sharpie on a notepad,
the fat body Sharpie is what I'm giving myself credit for on that one.
That's a damn good thing, guys.
I will buy that for $2.
$2 sold to you, Kevin.
Gary, that's a nice thing. I like.
I had to pep up the Sci-Fi thing because I'm not big on him, but I wanted to pep it up.
David, thoughts on Sci-Fi?
Yeah, it's a pass from me on Sci-Fi, and I certainly will not be getting this classified figure. It's interesting reading the file card, though. I mean, there's an interesting character there. I think what lets it down is the extreme 80s aesthetic of the future, which always seemed to be this. And yeah, I mean, look, it's fun. Like it's not fun. It is fun, but it's not for me. And I think probably. Time has moved on strangely. What dates a lot is when they do like the future version, this is very much, it always dates really badly, which is ironic.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I like Sci-Fi probably a little more than you two did. But yeah, again, I didn't pre-order the classified. I may get it at some point if I can find it cheaper. But yeah, Sci-Fi, he's a decent character. Again, the Dayglow green outfit for him, I think works for who he is, but I don't know, maybe this is the start. Maybe this is the blame for the future of G.I. Joe when they go for a lot more of the Dayglow colors and the bright. I don't know. Yeah, it's
You
sci-fi.
know, now that you mention it, I'd have more patience for sci-fi shenanigans if they didn't release him as a regular figure, and like if they put him in Battle Force 2000. I think I'd have less disdain for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, they do have a classified figure coming out for sci-fi.
I don't
think-
believe you.
They
I
do.
think-
Yeah, they actually do.
Lies. That's lies. They didn't do no classified figures.
Or the driver to some type of space vehicle animal, maybe. or something.
I think he plays a little better in the classified look,
So,
but
Yeah.
okay, so the big question here is we're running on a little over 2 hours now. Do
Yep.
we end on sci-fi and then begin with the next one, which is kind of a banger, or do you want to start, or do you want to end with the banger?
Sort of
I'm just
save
saying.
the episode and then move on.
Yeah, I mean,
3 more lined up for this episode if we have the time, and that's halfway through. So up to you guys. I mean, you guys have some recordings to do. If you want, we can do yeah, 3 more.
yeah, I got some stuff to do because Kyle and I have a podcast later to
Yeah.
do, and I got to eat
So,
and do some stuff. So
You want to
yeah.
end it here then? On this one, do you guys want to do one more to get to end it on a little better than sci-fi? It's your
We
guys'
could do
call.
one more. Let's do
We can
one.
do
more.
that. I think considering who's next, I think we should close it
Yeah.
out with who's
Yeah,
next.
Yeah.
let's do one more.
Yeah. One more. One more.
So this would be this would be Kevin.
How
All right.
appropriate.
Here we go.
Look who it is.
All right, we'll end on a good one and start with a really good one next time. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
all right, we will
interesting.
ending with Sergeant Slaughter, drill instructor, file name, classified, top secret, primary military specialty, infantry, drill instructor, second military specialty, survival trainer, birthplace, Paris Island, South Carolina, pay grade E7, sergeant. Just about every member of the G.I. Joe team is qualified to be a drill instructor, so it takes a special brand of heavy-duty honcho to keep them squared away. Sergeant Slaughter fits the bill with the way his bullet head fits his Smokey the Bear hat. Let's face it, the man be rough and take no guff. Quote, they say he cut his teeth on the bogey wheel from a patent tank, that his first words were Semper Fi. They say that when Sarge dresses down a boot in Camp Lejeune and trainees cringe all the way to Pendleton. Most boots would rather dive for apples in these grease traps than cross the Sarge. They say he can blow a month's pay in one night in Thule, Greenland. Of course, jarheads are prone to exaggeration. We all know it's impossible to blow a month's pay in Thule, Greenland. And that is Sergeant Slaughter.
It's Thule. It's pronounced Thule.
Is it
by the way.
Thule? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Kyle, I'm going to let you take this one first, and I'll go after.
Okay, so Sergeant Slaughter is, in some ways, one of the most iconic members of G.I. Joe, and in some ways, one of the most controversial characters of G.I. Joe. Obviously, in real life, Sergeant Slaughter was a professional wrestler, fairly famous one. Was the All-American, hero, always fighting, like, especially in the day of Hulk Hogan. That was kind of his prime. They brought him in to kind of be the spokesman for G.I. Joe. The problem was that about 3 years into his G.I. Joe run, the WWE turned him heel. And not that they didn't just turn him heel, they turned him into an Iraqi sympathizer. And it kind of really, it was kind of sad. There's some great documentaries on it. He was receiving serious, legitimate death threats, him and his family. And he got dropped by Hasbro because of it. And eventually, when they turned him finally and came back, he reunited with Hasbro. But I think the Sarge character, the Sergeant Slaughter character, which was introduced in Sister Pentor miniseries to G.I. Joe, I think it's fun. I think if anybody of the celebrity Joes that they've had, he's the one that fits the most. And they really played him up. I mean, not only in that season of G.I. Joe, but in G.I. Joe the movie too. And I think for all we can say, we all love the Sarge. He's always been a great ambassador for the G.I. Joe line. And I think, for any controversy or anything, people like, oh, why is Sergeant Slaughter in there? I think at the end of the day, Sergeant Slaughter is just as important to G.I. Joe in his own way as a Snake Eyes or Scarlet. And I think he's been, for the most part, one hell of an ambassador for the brand and the company, and has always done in his own way whenever he could, honored it and really held up to the tradition of G.I. Joe.
I never really was a huge fan of bringing him into the fold, but as time went on and the character endured and Sergeant Slaughter himself was being embraced by the fandom and the Finest. And I have a picture here I wanted to showcase here where he did a appearance in Los Angeles, and my Finest, this was one of our first G.I. Joe Southern Command Finest appearances when we put together the convention, or excuse me, put together the Southern Command that I help run here. And my friend Jason, who is to the far right there as one of the Crimson Guard guys, is unfortunately no longer with us anymore. And we miss him. And that was unfortunately the last time I trooped with him. And we got to hang out with Sergeant Slaughter. And he was really great. He was very sweet to all of us. And he's been very good with a lot of fans. So that's where Sergeant Slaughter actually became more important to me, was when I actually got to know Sergeant Slaughter himself. And he's done some wonderful appearances with the Finest.
Very nice. And Jared, as a military man, what do you think about Sergeant Slaughter and
well,
Deal and all that? And
I love the fact that
He's-
his birthplace is Paris Island, which is Marine Corps boot camp. So he was literally born at where Marine Corps boot camp is, and that's not just something from his GI Joe, like from his wrestling career. Is they always say he's from Paris Island, South Carolina. Interestingly enough, Sergeant Slaughter, the man behind the character, never served in the military. Was actually a quite anti-war protester for Vietnam, but like Kyle said, he's this great ambassador. He's just this great way about him, and he truly loves the troops. I've met him on multiple occasions as a military person, and of course at conventions and stuff. And he just does have a wonderful ambassador is the greatest word for it, a way about him. In fact, I met him at Joe Fest a couple of years ago, and I went to see if we get voice drops for our shows, for our Joe shows. Aaron, you and I,
Yeah.
and I asked, hey, would you do some voice drops? And he was the most polite guy, and the way he carried himself, the way he responded. The answer was unfortunately no, because he had signed a deal with Cameo, where you pay to get a voice drop and all that. And I thought, just the way he responded, there's a lot of ways that creators and those type of people could respond that would put you off.
Right.
When the answer is no, like, no, I only do through Cameo, or something like that. But he took the time to explain it very nicely. It was a sign of his integrity. He was like, yeah, I signed a deal with these people, and if I do it, outside of those rules, I'm kind of breaking my bond with the people that I swore that I signed my name that I would. And I was like, so the man had integrity. The way he put it to me was great. I didn't feel put off. I didn't think he was a jerk. In fact, later on during the show, he would sort of walk up and down the aisles and just take time out to shake hands and chat with us creators behind the tables and people in the aisles, and just a wonderful, wonderful dude. And the only other note I had that I was going to bring up was they should have never turned him heel, but Kyle got that in round 1. So that is that.
And Dave, familiar with Sergeant Slaughter?
I love Slaughter. And I think you guys have said it all. I mean, he's fun. He's just fun. And everything I hear, I've never met the man, but just everything that the guy's done for, I don't know, from whenever the movie to now, I feel like he has been one of the biggest ambassadors in real life for G.I. Joe. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel he's one of those guys who's kept the lights on in the tough times as well as the good times, because G.I. Joe, as we all know, has had moments where it's really cooled down,
Oh, yeah.
And
Sadly.
Yes, it's part of his career, but he could do it way more paycheck. But I think the man comes through in how he expresses himself. And as you're all saying, like the time he spent with the costume people and stuff, like, I mean, there are many celebrities out there of his stature who wouldn't do all that. You know what I mean? They would just take the paycheck from Hasbro and do the bare minimum. I think he does almost the maximum. I think Sergeant Slaughter is awesome. And God bless him. And Yo Joe, Sergeant Slaughter. 10 out of 10 from me for Sergeant Slaughter. I love him.
Real quick, I got to ask everybody with the figure, because to my knowledge, he had 2 figures. He had the classic look with the black muscle shirt that came with the Triple T tank. But he also came with the vehicle that came out towards the end of the Joe run called the Warthog. And I really liked that vehicle. I thought that was a very cool vehicle. But I think that that Triple T tank, black tank top version of Sergeant Slaughter is probably the most iconic of the Joe looks for him.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. 100%.
Yeah.
Also, not in the compendium, by the way. No,
Sergeant Slaughter is not in
Really?
your compendium.
No, that
Oh, right.
the rights or whatever they have.
It's got to
with-
be a rights issue.
with WWE or whatever
Wow.
ran out or yeah.
Wow. That's
Okay.
Wow,
I
because
can understand
they
Rock.
sort of they've re-upped him a few times, haven't they, over the years? Like there's been times before where he's kind of slid out of contract and then they brought him back, I think. Now I wanted to ask, while you're on the topic, I really like the classified one where he's in the, it's the green camo, but there's one where he's in blue. I believe it's Mad Marauders. What do we think of that classified figure? Because I'm on the fence with it. I could be swayed either way. Yeah, well, you've swayed me. There you go. So that's it.
Yeah, I've got the original one that you were talking about. I like that one. If I can find it cheap, I may pick it up. Yeah, I'm not in a big hurry to get the blue one, personally.
It's just fun because what I like about it, it's just so different to his normal look. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit of a how can I say? It's a change of pace. And the original's the classic, but the blue, I've been looking at it and just it's been worming into my brain.
I like it just because it's based off that 89 figure. I just think it's cool because he had his own sub team, right? That was where I'm getting Marauders from. There was like a whole So yeah, I dig it.
He
Yes,
did,
did
yeah.
Did he have a sub team back then? I know because now they've got the Sergeants Marauders or whatever as a sub team. Was that from? See that that was after I got out.
Wasn't the team in the movie a sub team that he was training? Is that a sub?
was
Those
the
are
Renegades.
the Renegades. And then in the late 80s, around 89, they do Slaughter's Marauders, which is basically a bunch of repainted of other Joes just in that blue green paint scheme.
Right.
The only other memorable one to me
okay.
was like Lowlight. I think Lowlight kind of looked cool in that paint scheme.
Funny little trivia where they were paying tribute to Slaughter's Marauders at I think that same convention that I picked up Sci-Fi and the Dewback, but they had some T-shirts and hats, but they misspelled the hats and it said Sergeant Slogders.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
By the way, Sci-Fi and the Dewback sounds like a great band name.
I know, right? Don't you steal it? That's mine.
Kevin, just admit it. You're waiting for the Black Series Sci-Fi figure.
I'll pick it up because I'll have to get him for this one.
Sci-Fi and the Dewbacks, are they opening up for Gold Slither?
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Yes, I play keyboards for Sci-Fi and the Dewbacks.
That was
That's the.
But yeah, no, I say the first was the Slaughter and the Renegades, and the Renegades was a 3-pack that came out, and then after I'd gotten out of that before they came off the Marauders, I wasn't sure if that was a Team Max show back then because I know I've seen it recently in the classified line, but again, most of the sub teams don't really do it for me. For the most part, they're mostly repaints, and I'm like, I've got the figure. I prefer the original. So yeah, no, I like Sergeant Slaughter. Again, when I was younger, I was into wrestling. Again, I got out of wrestling for Sergeant Slaughter really became a thing. But I do like, you guys have said especially back in the day, he was very much when he became on the scene, he was very much at the face of G.I. Joe. I know when they would air like the movie or like Spencer Arise, whatever, they would have him do openings and closings for it. And he was very much on the forefront of G.I. Joe. And I know he's even I've got him on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. And I'm friends with him on there. Yeah, he comments on there about G.I. Joe. And yeah, great character. The figure or the image we have here, he showed up in the comic as. Whereas on the cartoon or the toy, he had the more basic T-shirt and jeans look, or what? Not jeans, but the pants he was wearing. But yeah, here he's got a more traditional drill instructor look, I guess, compared to what we actually get in the cartoon. But we did get this in the comic or the cartoon. God bless it. Try that again. We did get this in the comic book, if I'm not mistaken. This is how he showed up. And again, as I said earlier, Larry didn't have much to do with Sergeant Slaughter. He showed up around issue was a 48 or 49, punched out Zartan. And then, we didn't really see him anymore. He dipped out because Larry. I'm sure Larry's like, okay, here he is in an issue or two. Now leave me the hell alone. I'm going back to my actual good work.
Yeah.
But Jared, more important, in my Amazon cart, I have Order of the Black Eagle with double feature for Sergeant Claren, Bullet for Your Head, just so you know.
You are set.
Very nice. And like I said, I had planned a couple more, but I know you guys got your own stuff going on. And like I said, originally I was much more optimistic about what we're getting with this show, but I'm enjoying the talk. So we're going to end it with Sergeant Slaughter. We got a little preview for next time. We're going to start with Shipwreck. So I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Bravo Team. If people want to hear more from you, Kyle, where can they go?
You can find me all over the place on the Fandom Podcast Network, on our Facebook groups, and of course on all of our social medias at FanPod Network on Instagram and X. You can find me personally on X and Blue Sky at AKyleW, and on Instagram and Threads at AKyleFandom.
Speaking of Fandom Podcast Network, Kevin.
You can see me sharing a brain with this guy right here, Kyle Wagner, on the Fandom Podcast Network. And you can find, Kyle already mentioned we're on all the socials there, and check us out. We got a lot of really fun programming there, all kinds of stuff for all kinds of fandom. You can find me, Kevin, at Spartan_Phoenix, and at all the socials, including Blue Sky at Spartan Phoenix.
Jared.
I am at Yard Sale Artist. That is X, Facebook, and Instagram. It is all at Yard Sale Artist. My podcasting stuff is at Long Box Crusade. Head over to the Long Box Crusade Network to find me. And my big spoiler for this episode, even though we went through all these characters and talked about them and the different versions and how much we loved them, they were all Zartan.
Every time. Every single time.
Except Scarlet. That was the Baroness.
Yeah, clearly.
And Dave, if people want to hear more from you, my friend, where can they go?
Well, if they want to find me, Signal of Doom, it's as simple as it gets. Just type in Signal of Doom, up we come. Just this week, we're going to be doing the first, it's a comic book show, and we're going to be doing the first 4 issues of the Devil's Due G.I. Joe run, actually, which I've been looking forward to doing for some time. If you want to find me personally, just look up Baroness, and you'll find me close by. That's it. Check us out.
Until the restraining order kicks in. And I can be found across the socials as Brother Head. And as far as my work on the everything, it's either under Headcast Network or under G.I. Joe, Royal American Headcast. My website is headcast.headspeaks.com. I'm on X. and I'm also on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I've recently, thanks to David Martell, gotten onto Blue Sky as Headcast. So definitely look me up. You can email me at gijoe@headspeaks.com. Normally, I'm here the fourth Sunday of every month talking some G.I. Joe with most of these fellows here below me. But that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe buttons. Again, I'm really bad at this kind of stuff. I'm working on it. If you want, you can call in to 1-559-500-3182. You can leave a voicemail. I'll play that on the air. Even if it's Jared acting like other people, I'll play that on the air. I don't care. And if you like what we're doing here, go ahead and throw a few bucks in the tin over at patreon.com/headcastnetwork. And until next month on Bravo Team will be an episode of Special Missions, and then we'll be back with the next part of this show. So until next month, remember, knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
And that's where we're going.
Yo, Joe.
Thank you for listening to Bravo Team, a supplementary G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast show. Be sure to check out our main show, the second Tuesday of the month, G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, where I talk about the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero comic book series written by Larry Hama and the G.I. Joe cartoon from the 80s. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page. Just search for G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, under both Facebook and over on Twitter. We're also over on Google+. Be sure to rate us and to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And be sure to write in and let us know how we're doing. We love hearing from fans. You can write to us at bravoteam@headspeaks.com. You can also send an MP3 file in and we'll play that on the air. You can send that to bravoteam@headspeaks.com. And be sure to check out my other great shows on the Headcast Network, Head Speaks, Task Force X, and the Starman Manhunter Adventure Hour, plus possibly more in the future. Also be sure to check out the podcasts of my co-hosts. They have some great shows. And if you want to appear on this show, definitely let me know. I'm always up to speaking to new people. You can send me a Facebook message or you can send us an email to bravoteam@headspeaks.com. Be sure to check out our website. The main site is at headspeaks.com, but you can check out the website for this show at gijo.headspeaks.com. Be sure to join us here monthly for another great podcast. Until next time, Joe's dismissed.